America, with your hosts, Michael and Jacob.
Big up, happy Thursday. We are almost there, folks, to the weekend. Welcome into episode number 36 of the Untitled series here on United Spurs of America with Jacob. That is me, obviously, but I hope you're doing well. Friday is tomorrow. It is upon us. The weekend slowly creeping through the streets. Hope you're living well. It's just after 3:30 here in El Paso, Texas. I hope good evening, and I've had a good day to all the listeners out there in the UK. I hope all the listeners out there in Australia are kicking off their Friday morning with some flavor, something spicy, hopefully, because you know what, I like me something spicy in the morning. Help me get everything kick started. Speaking of getting kick started, I have such a great gentleman I can't wait to speak with again. This will be his second time on the Untitled series, I believe, but he is what I would call the neighborhood watchdog. He's the man that I love, the gentleman I approach with, hey, what do you think about X, Y, and Z? I've seen this player. What are your thoughts on him? 10 out of 10 times he knows exactly who I'm talking about, and he can provide a pretty good opinion. So who better to bring on a day in which I want to present some options, because obviously the Pepe deal from FC Porto did not happen. They've rejected us. Apparently it's a big bid, allegedly. Are we believing anything? That's a question, but it's not the question of the day. The question of the day is, how are we feeling with 7 days left in the window? So far, 37% says knew we would stall till the final week. So a little bit apathetic today, and that's okay, because it officially is there's 7 days, and I'm not meaning the ring. I'm not talking 7 days and then, you know, whatever. I can't even remember what happened and transpired in that movie. Maybe my guest will be able to help me, but I have him relaxing backstage in the green room. And before I bring him out, I want you to hit a like. I want you to participate in the poll. Let me know how you're feeling today. I see 21 votes and 14 likes. We're off to a shaky ratio, but I trust we can get that ratio above Richarlison's shot conversion ratio. Was that a low blow? That might have been a low blow. I don't know. But without further ado, let me just say hello to everybody in the chat. Rich got the first place prize. Big up, Jacob. Feeling a bit grumpy with Spurs today. Still no outgoings. Big up the YouTube chat members. Big up the Patreon members. Big up the people who don't do either, but they're here. They're commenting. They're liking. Big up yourself right now. You don't have to do the monetary way of supporting the show. Now you can, and I encourage you to do so. But you know what? I'm a free 99 kind of guy. I like free things. I like hitting a subscribe, hit a like, and vote in the poll. And that's 3 things right there you could do. Cost you nothing, and they do wonders for any channel that you watch. I know I like to hit a like anywhere I go. Leave a trail of love. That's what I say. Even if you're a snail, like a snail trail of love. Is that kind of gross? I don't know. We'll find out. But without further ado, let me bring on the guest before I get rambling on too deep. Let's at least have someone to wade the waters with me this evening. Everyone just say what's up to Ashmatic in the house.
That's your boy Ashmatic.
Hey.
Big up to the people in the comments. Big up yourself. Big up every time. Bank holiday weekend is among us. I'm excited. I'm listening.
I didn't know.
I'm from Barbados, so for me, it's a massive occasion right now. I'm gonna get my Mardi Gras on. I'm gonna get my little flag. I'm gonna get my bottle of rum. Yeah, because I'm in Beijing. We drink rum and we talk enough foolishness. So I'm about to have a good time this weekend. That
sounds absolutely fantastic, and I didn't know, so thank you for educating me on that. I always love learning about. So Mardi Gras for Barbados is the last week of August.
So no, we're having the Notting Hill Carnival in London.
Oh,
the islands come over with their floats, and it's like a massive festival carnival party in London. Over like 3 to 5 million people attend. It's crazy. It goes off. It's like a massive street party. It's like a Sunday and a Monday 2-day party, and it just goes off. It's massive sound systems everywhere, and you just eat enough food, drink, and talk enough crap, and listen to loud music. But yeah, that's the vibe. That's the move.
That sounds like a whole weekend plan right there. Honestly, you're talking to me nicely, and I like that. We're not even 10 minutes in, and we're already talking about good vibes. And that's what it is here on the channel. Ash, you know, you've been here. You're a frequent flyer of United Spurs of America, so you know the rules and regulations here. Keep immaculate vibes, and you've already brought them. You've already presented them. The standard is set pretty high. Now, we don't have the Richarlison type expectations for you, but we've got high hopes for you, my friend. And I want to ask you, just off the jump, Pepe from Porto. Someone who I thought they were talking about the 40-year-old man from Porto. I said, "Excuse me." I didn't know this other cat. Well, what would you say to anyone like me who's like, who's Pepe? What does he do? What's like a elevator pitch for him?
Pepe, what can I say about him? He's got 14 goal contributions last season. That's 9 goals in all competitions and 5 assists. And he predominantly played on the right, but he has played on the left. So he played, I believe, 15 times as a right wing back, in fact. But operates on the right wing. Also played as a left winger as well. Played as a left midfielder. Played as a right midfielder. Played as a false 9. Played in the centre midfield role. But if you look at his heat map, which I'm sure you'll go over to in a second, you'll see that he's predominantly on the right. He's right-footed. He's 26 years old. And he, in my opinion, is an elite dribbler. As you can see there in the heat map, it shows there that you can't touch him. In terms of take-ons, in terms of dribbling, you're going to see him in that area. His first touch is phenomenal. So when you sting a ball at him, put a ball at fast pace, he's able to control it. And then his second touch is going to do you. He's going to do some type of mad skill and beat you for dust. He's really quick, but technically he's awesome. He's really good. And if you want an out-and-out winger, and I think that's what Ange Postecoglou's system wants when he wants to necessarily not switch the actual formation, which he doesn't do because that's his philosophy. But if he wants to change the characteristics, and let's say a Kulusevski who likes to come in on his left a lot, you've got a right footer on the right wing that's going to hug that touch line, and he's going to be 1 or 2 players. But don't get it twisted. He can play centrally. He can run through the middle because his biggest attribute is dribbling. So if you want a man that can take on a man, people say, Son's not really taking on players like he used to. Does he have that kind of beat a man kind of ability? You've got a player that's his basically his go-to. That's what he does. That's his preference.
And looking at this, it shows just below me right now that he played left wing, left midfielder, and defensive, a right, like you said, a right wing back. So It's really interesting, his versatility to play on either end. So I think that's also a quality that stands off to me from a, I say this, like, I can't watch every league. I can't watch every player of every team. So when you look at a source like SofaScore, it can tell you some things if you're looking for things to tell you. Like for me, I don't know who Pepe is, but like you can see, he hugs that right touch line from the heat map. This would indicate that he's played 3 different positions, 2 of them on the left, and apparently primarily he's on the right now. So it sounds like a guy you could work with, you could get to run, kind of like we're doing with a Solomon. He's primarily left, but he's down to get down on the right. And honestly, that's what I want from players, down to get down. But I look at this and I say, he's 26 years old. Does this really fit the mold that we're trying to go forward with in the regards of like Ashley Phillips, Alejo Veliz? You could even throw Mickey Van de Ven in there and Papa Matesar. Excuse me, Papi Chulo Matesar. But how would you view this? Is this a step forward in the Ainge philosophy, or are we just like, oh, that guy would get? Because obviously, I think if he's 26 and he's playing for Porto, do you know where he was before this? Surely, don't call me Shirley. There's some bigger club that would have come in for, or some Premier League club would have came in for him by now if he possessed some qualities. Or is everyone just missing the ball with this 26-year-old gem?
Well, it depends how you look at it. Do you look at the glass half full, half empty? In that, I mean, do you look at the data analytics? Because if we believe that Spurs are going down that route, then this guy is phenomenal in terms of progressive carries, in terms of successful dribbles. In fact, I compared him to Kulusevski. I compared him to even Saka at Arsenal, and Saka's an elite dribbler. And when it comes to 1v1s, he outdoes both of them. So you're looking at a top dribbler. If it's a player for now, then definitely. And I think maybe Ange might have looked at both games and thought, maybe this is missing. I know some people are probably looking at Solomon and thinking he might need a second chance. We did see him out on the right-hand side, you know. Couldn't Solomon do what this kid is doing, Pepe? But just in my opinion, and it's just a snapshot of Solomon, there was at times where he would take a touch and then he would go backwards, if that makes sense, as opposed to always taking on his man. He did, against United, take on Luke Shaw, and Luke Shaw's been injured for, it's come out that Luke Shaw's actually injured for it. So obviously Solomon spun him. Do you know what I mean? He must have done something.
No,
right.
Mason Mount too. He got hurt. I heard he had that hairline fracture to his ego because I Papi Chulo Montesar was out there pushing him around like a highlighter tip Raggedy Ann. In America, we had these little dolls. They were super floppy, and they gave them to kids because they're very durable, and you can just push them around. They're super like. That's what Mason Mount reminded me of last Saturday. I was honestly like, is that like? We often talk about Papa and we say, oh, his size, you know, we question, does he have enough muscle? Clearly he does. If he's pushing around Premier League proven, quote unquote, Premier League proven players, I would argue, where does he proven in the Premier League? I think he was just on a good team and was beneficial. He was a supplemental cog to a machine that was running well at the time. And you could see once the wheels started to fall off, he didn't do anything to pick them up and help them, you know, thrive in any manner. You could argue he kind of did the opposite. So Mason Mount, I know that ain't what we're talking about, but hilarity to me. Chelsea with a masterclass, if you think about it. Will they get 130 mil for two players who you don't even know what position they play? What are we doing here?
Well, then again, they did spend it on a lot of players that aren't quite working out at the moment. It's early days, though. It's early days. What can I say?
Yeah, early days for Pochettino out there in his super tight tracksuit. Super, super tight. It was so tight when they were getting their ass whooped by the bubbles. He had to unzip that motherfucker. You see him? He unzipped it, let it fly like a cape. Said he was so frustrated. It was too warm. Needed to let that belly breathe. Know what I'm talking about?
Billy's gonna get you. Billy's gonna get you. So I've seen that you brought up, obviously, Brennan Johnson there. I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, this is Brennan Johnson on the left, and this is Pepe on the right.
The point I was making, you've got versus fullback. So if you put versus midfielders, just to make it a little bit fairer, because obviously he's killing them there.
So this is Y Scout, isn't it?
This is FBF ref, but if you click on the versus midfielders, see how
these are photos on a tweet that I found. I don't know what is this.
Oh right, okay.
Well, no, what site is this? Because if it's Y Scout, I ain't got that kind of money.
Yeah,
trust me.
FBF ref. But basically, all right. So on the left hand side, I was explaining it. You've got Brennan Johnson, attacking midfielder versus wingers, and he rates quite poorly if it's data led. On the right hand side, you have Pepe, and it says versus fullback. So against fullbacks, he's killing it. But if you were to click onto midfielders, it's still in the green. So don't even worry. Like even when you go versus midfielders, Pepe.
You're talking about Brennan Johnson?
No, well, Brennan Johnson is on the left, and it says if you can see in the left hand column above the statistic, it says versus attacking midfielders / wingers, and then next to it says versus forwards. Either one he doesn't score very highly on. So against forwards or strikers or centre forwards, he doesn't rate highly in terms of statistical analytic data. Whereas Pepe does. Against midfielders, he still rates quite highly. Not as green as you can see there. Progressive passes is still quite high. Carries in the 91 percentile. Successful take-ons, 99 percentile. Even when you put them against midfielders, because it's on versus fullbacks. So against Poros or Emerson
How come I pulled up this website and I was like, let me do this. Let me do it. You know, you were talking about, let's see this. So I'm not just referencing a tweet with two photos of this information. But how come tell me this website, it says enter a person, and I type in Brennan Johnson. It's like, we don't know who you're talking about. I put Pepe. They said, I ain't heard of him. Like, what is this? What is this website? Why is it not working?
I don't know. I'm going to have to show you backstage. I don't know. I'm not sure. But basically,
I should have been better prepared
myself. But what I would say is in terms, if you were to look, what I did was I looked at Brennan Johnson in the championship, and now I know it's a lower league, but Brennan Johnson in the championship, his numbers are way higher. I think he got something like 15 goals in the championship and 10 assists. Now, the reason why I mentioned the championship is because I looked at Eze at QPR. Now, Eze at QPR in his last season had similar stats to Brennan Johnson. And then when he had his first season at Crystal Palace, it wasn't that great. It was that second season when you saw the difference in Eze's numbers. So second season under Roy Hodgson at that, because Vieira wasn't really playing Eze as well. All of a sudden, his numbers jumped up. Now, Brennan Johnson, this was his first season. He's relatively young. He's like between 20 and 22 years old. And basically, I think what they've been doing is they've been scouting him for a while. And I think they're looking at maybe in our system, an attacking system where he sees a lot more of the ball, he creates a lot more chances. Because I looked at the difference between Pepe and Brennan Johnson's. In terms of a goal threat, Brennan Johnson's a bigger goal threat than your Pepe, if that makes sense. Pepe is more of an out-and-out winger. Brennan Johnson has played as a centre forward. So that may be the reason why his numbers are inflated in terms of him scoring 8 goals last season and I think 4 assists. I think he got 12 goal contributions in a relegation fight in Nottingham Forest at the start of the season anyway. I know they climbed up the table as the season went on. But in a Spurs side, obviously they're comparing, if you compare Eze in the championship at QPR, then you look at him on his first season. His first season he was transitioning, getting used to the league, and in the second season, under Roy Hodgson, not under Vieira, he exploded. And so that's the reason why you want to look at not just one season, you might want to look at 2 or 3 seasons to kind of get an idea and then put in that person's age, because obviously Brennan Johnson has a higher ceiling. Now, I did do an actual video analysis on Brennan Johnson, and a lot of the chances, he gets some good opportunities and good chances in good areas, but he doesn't finish his dinner quite a lot of the time. That's the one critique I'd say about him. He needs to improve on his finishing. But okay. I before we were linked on him, I was actually a fan, but I wasn't a fan of him coming to us. But I just wasn't a fan. I just admired him. I thought, yeah, him, and I liked.
There's times I've seen him where I thought there's a good little player in there. I just ain't seen it all. But there's a good little player in there, and there's no doubt in that. But I just wondered for this price tag. Now, I said on yesterday's episode, I said that if you package this deal, get that price down, and you send a Ndombele, a Sanchez, a Dyer, someone else that we're trying to make, let's in one, out one. And if we could do that, I'm totally fine with Brennan Johnson. At a reduced rate, and we send someone the other way.
Correct. Yeah, I think most of the fan base would be happy.
Yeah.
That price tag come down. Everyone's very sensitive about the price.
But apparently Tanguy Ndombele said Tanguy, you hear what he said? He said, I'm not convinced about what they're doing over there at Nottingham. He wants to hang on to the Ainge train as long as possible. So does Eric Dyer. They all want to hang on to the Ainge train. But let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and pause real quick, and I want to say what's up to everybody in the chat. I've seen it moving and grooving, and I want to make sure I say and acknowledge y'all in the house. Milton Nobrega is here as well, says good afternoon, Jacob, and big up everybody. Hope you're doing well out there in Wollongong, Australia. David Calvino is in the house. Big up, David. Hope you are well. Jazz Fusion is here. Not a busy week this, nor ever was it going to be. From Tottenham to Rotterdam, more than I expected. Big up, Jazz Fusion. Hope you're keeping well and playing a good tune. Elvis G, a YouTube chat member in the house, says, evening all. Spurs are interested FC for the rest of the window. Wouldn't be surprised if we only made one deadline signing. I hope we do more. I hope we do more, my friend. Seems Mad is in the house. Big up, Seems Mad. Wayne Bonner, excuse me, says, hello, my fellow Spurs addicts. Hope you're all well. 5-0 on Spurs. For Spurs on Saturday versus the Cherries. That'd be interesting. I will get your prediction before we end this thing off in the future, Ash. I want to just go ahead and start letting that sink in a little bit. Let the steak marinate and tell me what you think at the end. But big up Russ Evo in the house. Got a pair of flip-flops there for his photo. I love it. Evening all. Good to see Jacob, my friend. Good to see you here in the house. Good to see everybody. I appreciate every single one of you. I say please hit that like, but you can also hit the dislike. the world's your oyster, and we got enough oysters to go around. The party's bumping. Hitting that like is like bringing free beer to the party, so why not go ahead and do that? Milton says, love the taco shirt. Yeah, it ain't Tuesday, but guess what? It's never a bad day for tacos, my friend. Kevin G in the house. Evening, Jacob. From the UK, 10:40 p.m. Good evening. Hope you are keeping well. Balpinder's in the house. Big up. Says, evening, guys. I hope you're keeping well. Paul from Hotspur Hippie says, hey, I'm nearly to 1480 subs. Can you? Of course, I can always plug the channel, Hotspur Hippie. Your channel's always welcome to be plugged. Go subscribe to the Hotspur Hippie if you haven't already. Jazz Fusion. Kaylee Davis, another YouTube chat member in the house. And this is absolutely true. This is some news. We don't want to spend a long time on it because really it's something we kind of seen coming. But let's just go ahead and say au revoir to one Mr. Troy Parrott. Big up, Kelly Davis. Thank you for reminding me. Troy Parrott has joined the Eredivisie side Excelsior. That sounds like a magic spell, but you know, it's a team that gets stomped up by PSV every year. I know that much. And he's joining them on loan for the remainder of the season. So we've sent one out on loan. Remains to be seen what's going to happen with Scarlett and the likes. Real quick, Ash, do you care? Was this, we all knew this was happening, right?
It was inevitable, to be fair. He was never really going to pull up trees and get a start under Ange after the Kane sale, especially. We think we need someone that's kind of doing it now, not might be doing it, you know. So he's had enough time to look at him as well, and I haven't really heard him mention him, so I know he's had
he's at least mentioned Scarlett.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not surprised at that at all, to be fair.
Yeah, same here. Kuva's in the house. Big up, Kuva. Enjoyed that show yesterday. It was a great time that we had. As fans, we'll have to wait 7 days and then take one in the ring. 7 days. Have you seen that movie? Am I referencing a movie that's not like internationally known?
What's that, The Ring?
The Ring, yeah.
Oh, I don't really do horror films. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. It was like you watched this video. There's this video that was going around back. You remember the days of Blockbuster where you go rent a VHS Hollywood video, and there was a tape that was going around. Apparently, you watch. This is the premise of the movie. It's quite silly now I think about it. It creeped me out though. You watch this movie and it's like some weird thing, and then this lady comes and like kills you, and so that was kind of the premise. She crawls through your TV and like comes to get you. And
yeah,
so,
I saw in Scary Movie. Have you seen Scary Movie?
Yeah, they spoofed the hell out of it. Basically, it's that, but serious. Not joking. You know, there wasn't no cool fight scene between. I can't even remember the actress's name. Love her though. She's in all the Scary movies. There's no fun fight scene. It was just all like scariness. But there, you get after you've seen the video, you'd get a call and it'd be like 7 days, and like that was the whole. So that's why I keep referencing it. I don't know. I don't mean to digress, but Cursor's in the house. Like secured. Big up, Jacob. Big up, Cursor. Hope you're keeping well. Chelsea Blue and Blues in the house. Smash the likes. If I always say this, if a rival can come in here and hit the likes, why can't a Spurs fan? But you know, I always say the option's up to you, Ash. If you want to hit a like, you can. If you want to hit a dislike, you can. The world is your oyster. You can make whatever choice you want. But you know, I would question why you want to live a hating ass lifestyle. But that's just me.
I mean, some people just, wired that way. I reckon the thumbs up should be a spud. They should do that, spud me. Boom.
Boom. Yeah, knuckle me real quick. Just a quick knuckle in. Like when you're coming into the club, you knuckle the bouncers. That's it. You see the owner at the bar, hey, hit me with the knuckles. Maybe drop a free beer my way.
That's it.
That's it. Kaylee Davis says hello to Ash. We got some love here in the chat for Ash Beer Talk. Big up. Ash, big up, mate. Now that is a banging guest. I haven't missed this week. I have not missed this week at all. Notting Hill Carnival, baby. This sounds like there's some I'm gonna digress. I'm not even gonna go there because I'm gonna digress. Taco Tuesday on a Thursday. Every day's a good day for taco. What's up, Ashmatic? This guy is the voice. So we brought him. We brought in the voice of reason, absolutely. Because I have a lot of outliers. I can't go around saying I predicted Mickey Van de Veen if I haven't ran it through my guy Ashmatic before. If you remember, Ash, we did do a show back in January where I mentioned Mickey Van de Veen as a guy that I've really admired.
Yeah.
And look where we are now. Look at us now. Insert that meme where they're eating the hot wings. Look at us now.
Who would have thought, eh?
Who would have thought? Not me.
Not
C.
me.
Sherman. Big up Barbados and Mount Gay Rum.
Oh.
Big up Neil Shafton is in the house. Yeah, I admit it. If I'm a hang around and just the Hells Angels, you're the first hang around. Then if you pass the test, you get accepted as a prospect. And after your prospect, you earn your patch. I don't know what you're talking about, my man. Sounds like some Sons of Anarchy. I really don't know why I read that whole thing either. But Neil Shafton, I hope you're keeping well, my friend. Love Barbados, beautiful country and lovely people, says Russ. I've never been. Personally, would love to go. Boom Boo is my favorite rum, though. Can't wait to go to Barbados. Big up C. Sherman, another YouTube chat member, fellow patron member as well. Peter M. Big up, everyone. I want another center back before anyone else. Ash, do you think there's any chance that we get a center back in before we do any other bits of business?
I just think a lot of work's being done under the radar, if I'm being honest. I did a show on Tuesday, and we're linked with a Tunisian international centre back who plays for FC Lorient. The guy's name's Talbi, Mossarat Talbi, and he's 26. But I compared him to Tosin, and aerially he's stronger than Tosin. Recovery's slightly better as well. I'm actually compared him to Per Scher that we're really strong with the Belgium. Oh, sorry,
for Torino.
Yeah, the one that plays Torino.
I kept eyes on him in Buongiorno just because I thought Buongiorno was a good. I like the last name. If I'm being honest, Buongiorno. You're in Buongiorno, and it's not just like you say hello, Buongiorno. He's like Buongiorno, and who are you? I'm Buongiorno. So I think that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty sweet. That's why he hasn't wowed me anytime I've seen him, but you know, I like the last name. But per sure, do you actually think that has legs that we could? Because honestly, all the rumblings on the center back side have gone quiet. Only thing we're hearing is attackers. Pepe. Honestly, I'm gonna digress, but I'm gonna put my damn foot in the mud because I'm tired of seeing players I didn't know were for sale for the cheap, going off to these Premier League clubs for the cheapity cheap. I'm looking at Moussa Diaby. Why didn't we not go in for him? And we got Kulusevski instead. Another player that is rumored to go to West Ham, Mohamed Kudus. This is a player I didn't know he was for sale on the cheapity like that. I didn't know Ajax valued him so low. I would have expected they wanted some Anthony type money for Mohamed Kudus. The man just scored a hat trick today, if you didn't know, by the way. But he's going to go to West Ham. If he's going to go to West Ham, he would definitely come to Tottenham. You can't convince me otherwise. If you're going to go to Aston Villa, you would have came to Tottenham. You can't convince me otherwise. And then there's another player that we spoke about before the show, Johan Bakayoko from PSV, who stepped up ever since Nani Madueke left. He's a right winger for PSV. Now he's rumored for 20 million euros. That's like what, 15 million pounds?
That's right.
But they rejected it. But that's how much Burnley offered. Now, if Burnley's offering that, they know the player's down to go to Burnley. Player down to go to Burnley is a player down to go to Tottenham. And I get a little frustrated when I throw these names around. And I mean, Mohamed Kudus is not someone that takes, you don't got to look under a rock to find that talent.
Yeah.
He's right there in front of you banging it. And I wonder, why don't we go for these kind of guys? And why is it like Ernest Nuama that I heard about from Nordsgardenland? I don't even know if that's how you say it, that Denmark team. I tried to watch him today. He wasn't even on the bench.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, maybe that means that he's, the deal's heating up if he's not even featured on the bench. But really, he's just 19 years old, and I don't even think they play him.
Apparently, yeah, he's gone. I did a show on him on Tuesday, and as I was doing the video, someone in the comments came up and were like, "Oh yeah, he's gone to Lyon." Fabrizio Romano just tweeted it.
But I haven't seen that. I went and looked for. I was doing a show and I was talking about him, and I was talking about the funny name because I couldn't pronounce it, and like the A and the E, they had a baby, and like, but my thought with it was like, that should be something easy. That should be like the Alejo Veliz. You hear about it, it's done. There he is with the shirt. You know what I mean? This should be easy cake business, which I'm totally cool with doing. But Mohamed Kudus, Moussa Diaby, these are guys that's talent in your face. Everyone knows about. Anyone who watches ball like you or I, or to any like level of I would even say you don't even have to be a content creator. You can just be a fan of the sport. You knew Moussa Diaby's a burner on the right hand side. Yeah. And it's just, I didn't know he was for sale for 50. Who? Why have we not asked? And Mohamed Kudus, if he goes to West Ham for what's rumored 40 to 50 million pounds or euros, that's absolutely absurd. That's a Basuma type deal. That's a game-changing player for the cheap. And we need to be all over that. But we're not. Do you think he's just not ready yet? He hasn't proved it, and maybe that's why? Or is it a lack of being bold and going for a guy?
I just think their eyes are on different targets. I would love another attacking mid or another kind of false nine, or because he can play multiple positions. It's not obviously he mainly plays in that kind of 8 or 10 centre mid role for Ajax. That's where he's been most effective, and the attributes he has is physical, gets forward, can shoot, can dribble. Definitely the type of player, especially if we're looking at players like Eze. Like, it would have made sense to go for Kudus. It's slightly cheap. Again, age-wise, it kind of fits. So I don't know. There's something clearly like Ange might have been focusing more on those winger positions, because I know the club like Eze, but I don't know if Big Ange wants, like, he's saying that I want Eze at all costs. I think he's looking more the wing forward route, because maybe over the last 2 games, from what I saw anyway, I felt like we weren't as deadly as we could be in that final third. And I felt like that front three could be improved on. And knowing the way he likes to play, I thought maybe that's where he wants to kind of go down that route, where he gets a player. Because even in Pepe has even said that he actually, even though he plays in the right wing, he prefers to play in the left wing. Solomon can play in the right wing, but he prefers to play in the left wing. Obviously, Son can play in the right wing, but obviously he prefers the left as well. So it's like we've got loads of these players that we're linked with that want to play on the left because they're right-footed, if that makes sense. So, it's a thing where I think Ange just wants a player that's going to go on the outside as opposed to a player that's going to come on the inside, because these forwards are so used to being inverted. But the funny thing is, when they do go on the outside, that's when we normally get like half a decent chance, or we end up scoring a goal. So,
shout out Kaylee Davis. I apologize. This super chat came in about 10 minutes ago, and I completely missed it. I am so sorry, Kaylee Davis. The chat is absolutely bumping, and I appreciate every single one of you. But I am going to skip ahead. I was way behind, but I'm skipping way ahead. So apologies if I didn't see anyone. I see Goguma's in the house. Big up, Goguma. Good to see you here, as always. But I'm going to jump ahead in the chat and go to the super chat. Kaylee Davis with the $5 dono. Big up. Thank you so much for supporting the channel above and beyond. You're a YouTube chat member, and you're hitting a super chat. That's doubling up. You're double dipping, and as long as it ain't in my salsa or queso, it's all good in the hood. So I appreciate you doing that, Kaylee. Says Johnson makes no sense to me for Spurs. His stats on FB ref look awful. Am I reading it wrong? And I think, Ash, we did talk about this, or you naturally had spoken about, and I saw Zedai in the chat and a few others referencing the fact that, you can use stats to support narratives. The numbers will never lie, but the angle in which you look at it could look like a chunkier number 2 than a skinnier number 2. It's all about the angle of the camera, the angle of the dangle. That's how it works in life. And I think when looking at the stats that I had referenced, they could look skewed. Now, Kaylee, I don't think it's a matter of you're reading it wrong. I think there always has to be context when it comes to stats. There needs to be some context to it. And honestly, I think Ash had really hit the nail on the head in regards to Brennan Johnson. Like, there's a good player there. Yes, he may operate in a certain way that we're not looking at as ideal, but I just wonder, regardless of the stats, the price tag seems quite Mason Mounty for what? You know what I'm saying? Is for a striker, for a right winger, for what position is this man expecting to play for us? Is kind of where I see it. So, like, primarily he's used as a right winger. If he's coming in for competition for Kulusevski, I'm totally okay with that. And I think we need somebody to push Kulusevski to be better, quite frankly. But I mean, looking at stats, I'm not super impressed either. So what do you think, Ash?
You know what it is? It's like half the K money. That's what it feels like. Half the K money, or more or less half the K money.
If you look at it that way, I didn't even put it in that filter of, let's look at the Kane money. We're gonna spend half of the Kane money on Brennan Johnson. That's because we'll look
bonkers.
at this in 5 years and do the picture like they did with Gareth Bale. Look at the 8 players we got for the Gareth Bale money or whatever it was. So that's a good point that I actually did not think about until you just mentioned. Keep going. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that's a good point.
But yeah, I mean, it like I said, it's either you look at the glass half full, half empty. If you look at the goal threat, goal contributions, in terms of what he plays like, he's more of a forward than a winger, whereas Pepe, I was saying, is more of a winger. So Pepe looks amazing against fullbacks. Like if you look at Pepe's graph, if you go back to it, you just see all green, but that's against fullbacks. If you do it against,
because visually it leads to looking better, right? Visually, if you see a whole bunch of greens versus, it shows a stark comparison, right?
Yeah, but at the same time as well, I look at where Brendan Johnson, the team that he's playing in, Nottingham Forest, and it's not like they play the most attacking football, if that makes sense. So his stats are going to be low. Do you know what I mean? Even his take-ons, they're not great. But again, when he's in the box, he's taking shots. When Pepe's in the box, he's not taking shots. He's more of a playmaker, if that makes sense. He's more like a man that will square the ball, like pass the ball across the box, maybe do a cutback. Whereas Brennan Johnson in that same angle is shooting. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. But what I will say about Brennan Johnson that I did like, because obviously we've been linked with him heavy, so I've been looking and watching more tape on the guy, obviously outside of the scope in which I've seen him so far. And a lot of his finishes, it look left side, middle, right side, it looks like he can score from kind of all over the park. So one thing I will say is he might have some finishing abilities that we are lacking right now on the right or down the middle. I don't know. Kaylee Davis hits us with another super chat. Big up Kaylee Davis, supporting the channel immensely today. Says, I'm afraid of Johnson being another Richie. I'll throw that to you immediately, Ash.
I hear it. You know why? Because at the moment, he's not clinical. He's 22 years old.
That's young. That's
very young. That's why I think Spurs are looking at him and Ange's looking at him, because the ceiling's really high. But it's the thing where in those positions, you need to be like hitting the back of the net. A lot of the times, like there's chances aren't that far off. Like keepers are getting down to their bottom corner and saving it. But you just want someone that's kind of like killer when you're in that final third. Like we've had chances as the last 2 games, I would say, or even during pre-season, we just haven't had that clinical edge where we've created like 20 plus chances, but we just need to kind of put it in the net. And Brennan Johnson, even though he might get quite a few shots off, we need him to be hitting the back of the net. And I think it's one of those ones where it's a bit of a gamble that could really pay off, or as I said, half glass full or half empty, it could be another Richie signing. So
I would struggle with the thought. So if this guy can bang in goals in a relegation fighting side that's merely just trying to stay up, and you can bang in goals in a side like that, I would lend myself to believe that in a fully functioning creative midfield, diverse attack, many attacks throughout a match like we've seen thus far under Ange Postecoglou, if you put a guy who can bang him on a side that's just trying to stay alive versus a side that's trying to thrive, I think you might see a completely different beast.
The thing is, my broski, is raw. If you look at it, boom. Richarlison at Everton, they were a relegation side. He got 13 goals.
These filters you're putting on, man, they're so crystal clear. I didn't think about that. That's a good point.
Like, I see Kaylee's concern. I get it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think the difference might be is that you have to look at the temperament. You have to look at who the player was playing alongside. Obviously, Richarlison was a lone striker, and at times with Brennan Johnson, he's been played out as a winger and only a winger. He hasn't been played up front all the time. Sometimes, this season especially, they've got another striker. I forget his name. His name escapes me. A black guy. He's been banging it in, like in front of goal. He's been deadly. And I can't remember his name. But yeah, like it just goes to show, Brennan maybe just needs to work on that final end product, that end goal. Like that's what he needs to work on. Can that happen with time? Who knows, man? Who knows? I just can't remember the guy's name.
For Forest?
Yeah, their striker. I can find it now. Anyway.
Awanoyi? Or it's like
Yeah,
I don't know how to say his name either. I think he wears number 10 or 9. No,
yeah.
Gibbs White wears 10 for
It
Forest.
should be a 9. It should
It's
be
a
a 9.
9, yeah.
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 Um,
I mean,
but yeah, that guy, he's more. He's been putting it in. He's been getting it in. He's been getting it in. He gets a little half chance and he puts it away. And I think people won't be mad, Jacob, if we got a Brennan Johnson at a discounted price because we did a play exchange, and we got like someone like a Gift Auburn or a Jonathan David or someone of that ilk. Do you know what I mean? That is more of a proven goal scorer. If that
yeah.
makes sense. So then you've got competition for Kulu, but then you've got competition for Richarlison also as well. So then you're not like, oh, you're relying on Kulu and Richarlison. No, you've got 2 players in both positions, and we can switch it up during the game. And also, like Brendan Johnson has played as a striker, as a forward, and he has played on the left wing and he has played on the right wing, but predominantly on the right wing. So, and then with Gift Auburn, obviously left wing and up front, but with Pepe, multiple positions. But he really is good at playmaking. That's his thing. I can't stress that enough. He's a playmaker more than he is a goal scorer. But as a footballer, I think he's a better footballer than a Brendan Johnson, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does make perfect sense. Sorry, appreciate you, Leo from Mile High Hotspur, taking care of some people being silly in the chat. Always want to show some love and respect to everyone in the chat, people on the panel. We're all here taking our time to talk about football, so let's keep it football. Kaylee Davis with a 3rd super chat. Kaylee, you're absolutely flattering me tonight. Says, would Johnson be as good as Kulu on the right? Ash, I'm gonna throw this one straight to you again.
So you're looking at a profile of a player. One goes on the outside, one comes on the inside. That's what it is. One can arrive in that kind of space, if that makes sense. So they arrive in the box and they're able to be on the left, the middle, or the right. So that's more like a Brendan Johnson, whereas Kulu hugs that kind of right hand space.
Likes his left foot more, yeah.
And then he comes, he wants to come on and shoot. And like the problem with that is that it's becoming a little bit predictable. And so when you throw on a Brennan Johnson, he's a lot quicker than Kulusevski. Do you know what I mean? So that's what he's going to add. He's going to be slightly more direct. He's going to come on the outside. He's going to ask a different question. So we may be able to open teams up. But, I mean, if you're asking me who would I prefer, I would prefer Pepe. I'm not going to lie. He's all right now. I get the Brennan Johnson because he's one for the future. Like project, my projects, you know what I'm trying to say? He's a project player. I get it. Like I understand why Spurs. This is like Spurs' kind of philosophy, the recruitment. They like young players, and Andrew's with it. He likes young players. It just marries. He just knows what's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? But the very fact that we went in and put a bid in and it got rejected for Pepe, it's saying like, raw. You know, we're serious. We're actually doing bits. And as I said before, if we're going to go down that data-led model route, then obviously Pepe is obviously the clear front runner. He's the clear winner. Do you know what I mean? And he can play, as I said, in multiple positions.
Speaking of playing in multiple positions, Zedai makes a good point here. Says we've lost Kane, Lucas, and Danjuma. We've signed Solomon, and that's it. We need 1 to 2 more attackers. So I think that might be why we're showing some haste here. And then AC in the house says, to me, Solomon is Kulu cover and Perisic is Sonny cover. I would say, who's Richie's cover then?
And I think that's why they're looking at Brendan Johnson, because he can play
striker.
But I would be
also be on
that's
the
the
right.
reason why I'm like, I don't think he's that guy to be the striker to push Richarlison. Like if I'm Richarlison and I hear that
we're signing, yeah, that's a good point.
I'm like, I'm pretty cool. I'm pretty calm about it. Do you know what I mean?
But if you hear we're going for this gentleman right here. Now you might be singing a different tune if your name's Richarlison. It remains to be seen, but allegedly, this was 2 hours ago, an hour before the show started, Brentford are resigned to losing their £80 million rated Ivan Toney after he completes his ban. Tottenham are keen on the forward, so I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, is this just media fluff to like, you know, keep heads looking, keep clicks rolling through? So I look at the source, Tom Roddy. I don't know who this guy is. 23.2 thousand followers, football reporter for the Times and the Sunday Times. He's double times. And there's an article posted. There it is. About Brentford braced for Ivan Toney bids in January. Valuation expected to be around 80 million. Striker joining the Stellar agency. So he's changing agencies and he's putting that ass up there for sale. He's going up there in the shop window and saying, "Who wants me?" I mean, we've seen the video a couple summers ago where he's on the boat partying with the young lady and she's like, "Say fuck Brentford," and he's like, "Fuck Brentford," and then they flip off the camera and like, you would have thought at that moment that's when I said we need to go. I remember doing a show with Michael and I said, let's go get this guy for 30-40 right now. Perfect Harry Kane backup. And man, do you think that this has a chance? Now are you comfortable spending 80 mil of Harry Kane money on an Ivan Toney?
I mean, if that's the price, that's the price. But to be fair, did you hear
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
That's what I'm saying to you. No, all these players are inflated. I blame Arsenal. I blame Chelsea. They ruined the market. But anyway, I digress. Did you hear what he said about Arsenal and Liverpool?
Who?
Okay,
Tony?
Tony came out on an interview. I think it was yesterday.
Big up, Kaylee. Thank you for all the super chats. Appreciate you. Any questions you ask Kaylee, I'll bring them up. You super chat enough. Sorry, Ash. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's cool, man. Big up to Kaylee. Listen, he come out on an interview, on live video, on live, like how we're talking to be us right now. He come out and he said, Liverpool is my team, my boyhood team. I've supported him all my life.
Damn.
Liverpool. Like, he just come out. He didn't have, like, it wasn't prompted.
Unprovoked?
He came out and he said it.
Just start swinging for Liverpool.
Wait for it. There's more.
No.
He said, Arsenal, I like the way they play. And guess what? I like the way they play. When I was growing up, I enjoyed the way they played. I really like Arsenal. Yeah? So, if a team...
he was watching who? Thierry Henry tear it up? Who wouldn't like... I mean, if you don't have any skin in the game, who wouldn't like watching a Thierry Henry flying through people? I mean... I could get that. Well, then they had their heyday, right? So
I understand, but why come out and say it online? Do you know, there's something.
When did he say this? Was it like the James Madison when he was 16 years old saying "fuck Spurs"?
No, he said it like yesterday, my broski. Yesterday.
Oh no!
Yesterday.
Oh, no!
Yesterday. That's the reason why Tom Brady came out today and said there's still interest, despite all obviously that video coming out. That video came out and everyone was like, "Right, it must be over then." He ain't coming Spurs. That's it. It's done. Do you know what I mean?
Look, AC's talking about it too in the chat.
My brother, it is.
I didn't know that.
I'm telling you, like as soon as he said that, Spurs fans just switched off. As soon as he said the A word, he was like, "Yeah, you're done. You're done."
Yeah, that changes things. But you know what? Money make a dance real quick. I'll put it that way. The bands will make her dance, and
yeah. They're looking for a centre forward. They're looking for a centre forward. And
Arsenal, yeah.
So it's like, I mean, we can try. We can put a bid in.
No, he definitely was not just twerking in the window now. You put it under a different light. Once again, Ash, that's why I love having you here, because I see things, I hear things, and I say things. And then you're like, oh, here's something you didn't think about. I did not know. He was not only twerking in the window, but as soon as he seen Arsenal walk by, he pressed up against the window. You know what I'm talking about? Some Rose from the Titanic scene looking boy.
You know, when you nipples poking.
That's about to damn cut the glass with them things. Come on.
Please.
That's a little tough for me to, but you know what? He's still such a damn good striker. Yeah, send me. Kuva here. Big up Caption Grandma as well. YouTube chat member says, Shirley, don't call me Shirley, we need a striker who has the potential to bang a lot of goals to rival the prolific Richie. Johnson and Pepe are not those players. Fair point, Caption Grandma, big up. Kuva says, Tony would be a great signing even at 90 million pounds. I wonder who will pay it because we sure as hell won't. That's a good point. And then Neil Shafton saying it's clickbait, not... here we got a super chat from Paul Brown. Big up, €5, says... To attempt to answer an earlier question, why don't we just our recruiting shit, and always has been, unfortunately. Yeah, this is. I did bring this up earlier. Why don't we just go for the Moussa Diaby? Why don't we just go? These are the guys that you would like when you think about Victor Osimhen. Okay, I understand we're not going to go in for Victor Osimhen. They want fucking 290 million plus your firstborn child for the next 10 years. Which undoubtedly, if I'm Scudetto, whatever it is, winners, Victor Osimhen's a hell of a complete striker. But obviously, you want to retain that. I'm not saying go for that guy. I'm not even saying go for the Kvaratskhelia guys. You know, the guy who's now rumored, he'll probably go for about 100 wherever he goes. Probably more, because if you look at Mudryk, Anthony, those cats went for 100. Darwin Nunez, and this guy's proven to be twice that they were at that juncture in their career. So, but Mohamed Kudus, Moussa Diaby, these are Johan Bakayoko. These are guys that are just right there. They're right there, prime for the taking. Just pluck them up, plug them in. They can play. Mohamed Kudus, I would argue, could play four different positions in this squad.
Bakayoko, how many goals did he get last season? Did you bring him up real quick?
Yeah, but remember, he did have like half a season because half the season he was on the bench before Madueke went to Chelsea.
Bring him up still. I just want to see something.
I'll pull him up right now.
All right, cool. Go to. Can I see his goals and his assists and how many games he played?
So in the Eredivisie last season, (23 matches. He started 17.
Right.
60 minutes per game, 5 goals, 5 assists.
Cool, no problem. Does it show you the season before on SofaScore?
21-22 in the Eredivisie. He had 3 appearances, started 0.
Right. Cool. So I went and did a little more research, and I found out he was playing in the league, the lower league before. Does that bring it up?
Yeah, is this the Erste Divisie?
Yeah. Has it got his stats there?
Yeah, it does.
What does it say for that then?
It says for this, his first year for them in 2020, 2021, 20 matches, started 11, 1 goal, 2 assists. The next year, sorry?
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
The next year, significantly more playing time. Look at that heat map there. 32 played, started 28. Team of the week 7 times, 17 goals.
Right then.
10 assists, 27 goal contributions in the league.
Right then. So my point is, if you go back far enough, you start to see the player's true potential. It's the same with, as I said before, Brennan Johnson in the Championship. I know obviously there are the lower league, obviously, but you can see when you watch Bakayoko, his ability on the ball. He actually dribbles to me a bit like Eze. Like, he's dope. Like, and taking on players, dribbling.
Yes.
He's just got that kind of, like, as soon as you see a play, you just know. So, again, like, I go back to the Eze point. Eze in the Championship, one of my friends was like, you need to look at Eze from QPR because he's a massive QPR fan. Trust me, Tottenham need to come in for him. He's a top player. And that time, similar, 27 goal contributions. I think he got something similar, around that mark. The first season, he was at Palace. I don't know, similar, like 5 goals maybe, or maybe less. Second season, wasn't really played by Vieira. All of a sudden, again, they get not a new manager, they get my guy back. He's playing all of a sudden, and his stats are through the roof. They're basically like Madison's. So, do you know what I mean? So the Bakayoko, it could be similar to a Brennan Johnson, where you need to look at the player over a longer span of time. Do you know what I mean? And see their potential and think, okay, maybe their first season they're not popping, but the season after, you might see the real them in a comfortable squad and an attacking squad. Do you know what I mean?
That's a good point.
That's amazing. 27 goal contributions. I thought I just mentioned that.
That's impressive. That was pretty impressive. And then I also want to bring up, I don't think it was this performance that I was watching, the Johan Cruyff. He did What was it that they were playing? This year alone, I think he has already bagged a couple assists. No, I don't see any. I must be tripping. There's some game he had 2 assists. He came off the bench, and it was very recently. He just had 2 assists right off the back. I think this kid, if you're offering 20, 30 mil or 20, 30 euros, that's pretty damn cheap to get a versatile right winger in who can, so we're not looking at Solomon being the backup right winger when the guy naturally doesn't play. I like the fact that he's willing to go out there and do that. But I think we need to have 2 to 3 deep at each position so we have viable options off the bench or to potentially start if someone's not playing well. Like, if Sonny's not playing well, who's our left winger that we feel confident about? We're all hinging hope on what we saw from Maynard Solomon. But do we know? I don't think that's a question we have the answer to at this juncture. So, but big up Paul Brown for the super chat. Hitting us with another super chat. I appreciate all y'all. I do want to say we are almost up on an hour. Please do hit that like if you haven't already, or hit the dislike. It's free to do either or. Participate in that poll. Let me know how you're feeling about the end being near. Ben Kaufman says 7 days until Eeyore ears. Kuva says, I like the way Arsenal play too, and I hate Arsenal. So just to go back to the Tony thing, a couple people were talking about it as well. Let's see, there was something I had. I starred Audio Artisan's comment. It's a little change of subject, but Rich here says Tony's a pipe dream anyway. We'd never pay his price tag. Lazy 8 in the house, big up Lazy 8, says sorry, but this club ain't paying 80 mil for Tony, a resurrected Greavesy, or anyone else. Maybe Vlahovic at 50, and that's a push. So the hopes are very low.
Even Tony in his first season, if you look at how many goals he got, and then you compare it to his second season at Brentford, he got 20 goals. I think in I can't remember how many appearances, but he like almost doubled the amount of goals he got. And if you look at him in the Championship, that was his true Tony. And obviously, the second season in the Premier League, you saw the real Tony. Now everyone's going crazy. But like, I did analysis on him, and I just did clips from the Championship, and you could just see his ability from there. So I think that's what a lot of these clubs are doing. They're not looking at one season. I think they're scouting these players over a number of seasons, and they're picking up data and having an overall picture. And obviously, we've only got limited data, but we're looking at, as fans. But
yeah,
I think they've got something else. Do you know what I mean?
Neil Shafton says you keep assuming these players want to come to Spurs. I'm sorry. If a player's willing to go to West Ham, they're willing to come to Spurs. If they're willing to go to Burnley, they're willing to come to Spurs. Now, you say Jeremy Doku, okay, now I know why we didn't go in for him. Manchester City's sniffing about. So I think some of these players would definitely come to Tottenham. Also, money make people act real different real quick, if you know what I mean, because Burnley's offering this guy what are they going to offer him? 25 grand a week, 50 grand a week max, and we come in and say here's 75 at a better, bigger, more prestigious brand. I would argue I like my chances in that boardroom. AC says, do you think we are looking at more wingers now because this could be Sonny's last season for us? Or is it truly a lack of depth? Because we have technically 3 wingers on the bench once Hill comes back. Ash, do you think that this is a sign of Sonny leaving? For me, I'm going to say I think it's more of us trying to have depth and legitimate options in that depth. Like Alejo Veliz is a great signing, but Ainge already said this guy's one for the future. He's definitely going to be getting acclimated all season. I wouldn't expect to see anything from him. You know what I mean? So like, I don't necessarily think that this is we're looking at wingers because this could be Sonny's last season. I think we're looking for players that can play in the striker position. Gift Orban could do that. He could also play out on the right or on the left. Gift Orban's pretty damn talented, and I'd argue he could play left, central, or right. So I think we're looking for versatile players, not just wingers. I think most of the names that we've been linked with, they can play down the middle, but they also can play on the right or the left. And so, I think it remains to be seen. But Ash, what about you? Do you think this is a sign that Sonny's leaving?
So we also looked at Gnotto as well from Leeds United. He was 20 years old. very young Italian under international.
Yeah, love Wilfred Noto.
Winger, yeah. So even him, if you look back at his previous club before he went to Leeds, he was actually playing as a striker and got quite a few goals for them as well. But yeah,
when he came off the bench, he came on and played like that striker role. Yeah, like the left striker role.
Yeah.
Up there, like kind of the Rodrigo role.
Yeah.
Like where we saw, right. And he was bagging goals too. So
yeah,
I like this player. Leeds is a club I keep an eye on. And was there someone else I want to ask you about from that club that potentially could come in? But finish about Noto, please.
No, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah, but I just look at the evidence. Like we're being linked to a lot of wingers, so clearly there must be some type of plan that either Ange isn't happy with the style of winger we have, or the age profile, or the profile in general and what they do. And that's the reason why he's actually looking at that area. Whereas I think with Son, yes, he's at that age where, you kind of want to be looking to replace him. But I looked at him against Man United, and I just looked at him in isolation. And I found it very interesting because when I first watched it on the watch along, I didn't really notice Son too much, apart from when he went against Varane and he just ran in behind and he just done him for pace. And I was like, oh, Son's back. And then obviously when he went up front, he kind of veered over to the left.
He had some really good passes, some really good threaded passes.
So this is it. So the interlink I saw with him, he was doing a lot of triangles, but also the crosses that he was putting into the box wasn't your typical cross. It was on the edge of the box, or sometimes in the box. He would do a disguised diagonal pass. And one of those passes came off. He tried to do one to Udogie, sorry. But it
Ugodi. He's actually, it's Ugodi here on the channel.
Ugodi?
Yeah.
Sorry. The GOAT himself.
He got that dog in him though, but he's the GOAT, so.
The GOAT. Cool. He tried to put one into him, but it didn't quite come off. I don't know if they're on the same wave, but it was a great ball. Or was it offside? I can't remember. But then he did one to Sarr, and Sarr ran into that space and had a near post shot, and the keeper saved it. Yes. Remember that, right?
I do, yes.
I just remember back at Celtic, that's what he would get his wingers to do. Instead of crossing the ball, because a lot of people like Perisic at the moment, because Perisic is clearly getting to the byline and whipping it, and he's doing that kind of hand cross, whereas Son is doing more of a getting to the edge of the box, and instead of shooting, because we're used to seeing Son shooting in that particular area, what he's actually doing is he's threading the balls into like a Maddison. That Maddison's arriving, Sarr's arriving late into that space, and that's where a lot of our joys and a lot of our shots are happening. So I watched that and I thought, okay, well, maybe he's asking different things from Son. So, but I only noticed that because I watched it a second time and I just isolated Son by himself. But at the same time, I still think that, yeah, we are looking for a person that's gonna, because Son's 32 next year, right? So
no, they knocked a year off. Him.
So what is he, 30 now?
I think he's gonna be 31. Let's see what he is officially on SofaScore. Let me see, because they did the law, because in Korea when you're born you're 1 year old, so they're putting a little extra age on this man. Let's not give him gray hairs yet, because I ain't seen one. All right, I ain't seen one on my boy. So it says 31. He was born July 7th, 1992. Okay. So that's 31 years old. He's 31. So he's about to, he just turned 31. Turned 31.
Yeah.
But I would say he hasn't aged a day in 10 years.
No, he looks, I think his biological age would be something completely different.
But also to add just a little, this is not a conspiracy neither. He's always looked up to Cristiano Ronaldo and the way that he took care of his body. And he's even mentioned the fact of Tom Brady, and he doesn't even watch the sport, but he knows this 40-year-old man still slinging the pigskin. So he idolizes these people who've taken care of their body. Son doesn't drink. Son doesn't do drugs. He don't party. He's not a guy whose body I think is going to break down like a normal person's body. I think he's going to have that longevity like you see in a Ronaldo and a Messi type. That's just my assumption. I guess part of my hope as well.
Son could definitely go to like past 35, 100%. It depends like how good of a season he has this season. I think this is a massive season for him. And I think if we see anything of the old Son, and even last season, he got 11 goals, which isn't shabby at all. But we just expected more because he scored 21 or 23 the season before that, and it was quite a drop-off. But if he gets 15 goals plus this season, then I still expect to see Son in this team. But yeah, definitely, I feel like at times we're going to want to ask different questions, and we're going to have players that have different characteristics, and that maybe Son can be pushed up front, because Big Ange even said it himself. He wouldn't mind seeing Son utilised as a centre forward, and he did play him in
20 minutes.
half.
We got to see 20-some minutes of him, and he looked pretty good there. I did not mind what I saw.
Quite well, actually, I was surprised.
Imagine fresh legs from the jump, what it could potentially create. I mean, when he's been our number one attacking or our goal scoring option, he's stepped up to the plate every single time. So I have no faith that he could do it again, personally. It's interesting what you mentioned there about how Ainge's wingers kind of operate in that space, and you mentioned you referenced the Ay Papi Chulo Matasar's shot that went into the side netting. Well, I don't know if that was it saved. I thought it went straight into the side netting, like it was one of those.
No, I'm pretty sure it was saved. That Sarr had.
You're probably right. I trust you.
I see Sarr as I wouldn't compare him to Dele Alli, but he's definitely got that role where he's a kind of space invader or space investigator.
He finds it, yeah.
He's constantly looking where to run into.
In that build-up, did you see him break down that build-up play of his first goal?
Yeah, that was crazy.
And he was just like, if you remember, he did say, if you remember, I kind of started the move off, if you remember. He's like, I found, so-and-so out there on the right. The way he talks so, like this man been running the game for 30 years or something. He's like, I found, I know it's in another language, but the way he, maybe it's just the me not knowing what he's saying and I had to read the subtitles, but the way he came across to me was, he's smoking a cigar on a cruise type of cool. You know what I mean? Like, this ain't too big, the lights ain't too bright. And he was just like, you remember, I started this movement off, and I found the guy out there to the right. I kept watching the build-up play, looking for that space, a space investigator, like you said, and he found the space, and there's his goal. And I like
it with I think it was Muller that kind of invented that. I can't remember the name of the actual title. I think it's the Ruder. I can't remember the name. But anyway, Muller did it really well at Bayern Munich. Frank Lampard was known to do it, but Dele Alli, he was the one that showed us, like, a guy that's got legs, can run from deep, and just score many goals. But I think with Sarr, he adds another element. Not only has he got an eye for goal, he's also got the ability to intercept. Like, he intercepts like crazy, slide, challenges, wins the ball back. So he's not just a person that runs into the box and scores or is a goal threat. He can actually pass the ball well. You can switch to play. He's quite confident in his passing ability. His first touch is really good, and his ability to read the game is excellent. I think him actually dribbling with the ball has been unnoticed. I think him actually being able to carry the ball and just get past players and push up the pitch, I think is amazing. And I think that's what's helped him.
Raumduder. That's what they're saying in the chat. Raumduder is the word you were looking for.
That's it. Yeah.
I might be pronouncing it wrong. I took German in high school, Sprechen Sie Deutsch, but that's about it. I can sing you happy birthday in German, but and I can say a phrase that doesn't actually make sense in German, but for someone learning German, I thought it was quite funny. I would say, Du saugst meine Fleisch. And if that's not something I would say to anybody.
Raumduder, A-R-M-D. Raumduder. So he's just a man that can operate in between the lines, and he can write and find the space and just affect the game in different ways, because he's not picked up by anyone. But at the same time, he was good at playing at times he was like a wing back, because he filled in and he helped us play out from the back. He actually dropped into that right-hand space and allowed Porro to have a pass and out ball. Do you know what I mean? So Sarr picked it up, and then we were able to kind of progress from there. And sometimes he stuck next to Basuma, and he was the extra, like, double pivot or the extra defensive midfielder, or whatever you want to call him. He was that guy to sit in at times as well. So all-round superstar. But I want to give a big up to your guy, your Donny, your man like Romero. Romero, oh, but he had
Talk
the
to me
most
nicely. This is a. I mean, I'm getting the Romero shirt this year. That is solidified. I'm just looking at my DH Gate sellers, but I'm getting the Romero shirt. It has to happen. Talk to me about Romero.
credit where credit is due. He had the most touches. You wouldn't think it, right? Progressive passes, obviously they're from deep, but he had the most progressive passes as well. Passing accuracy was really high. I think Manaki van der Ven had like 93%. Romero had 80 in the 80s. He's in the 80% now. So passing really good. Aerially was the best. Winning headers, like he was top of his game. And he was just really assured on the ball. He took his time on the ball. He didn't rush. He wasn't panicked. There was that maybe the first 10 minutes, he did a one misplaced pass. It was a bit nervy. But then after that, he was just so comfortable. And I think having Mickey next to him, it seems like he's a lot more calmer. I don't know if because he's the assistant leader, assistant captain, whatever you want to call it, vice captain, that's put extra responsibility on him. But he just seemed a lot more like a top defender in that role. Like he was able to step up, but when he stepped up, it wasn't rash. He wasn't sliding in, and he was able to win those balls. He was able to win those challenges real quick. So like big up to your guy. I know that's your guy, so I thought.
Hey, that is my guy. Everyone, you know what? Anytime they come saying something to me about Romero, this is the only face I can give them right here. Talk to me nicely. Just talk to me nicely. When I see people texting me, your boy Romero, X, Y, and Z, talk to me nicely. This is how I look at my phone when I see people on YouTube talking nicely about Romero lately. This is how I look at my phone. This is how I feel 100% of the time. Shout out my boy
Not only
Romero.
did he get touches in the box, I think it was about a good five touches, like different occasions that he got touches in the box, but he did not make a single foul.
Bro, goalkeeper knows when he sees a beast of a defender in front of him. I'm telling you, I may have played goalkeeper. I dreamed of being Zlatan. Unfortunately, my dreams were cut short by my manager saying I was too chunky to play forward. They wanted the thin Latinos up front. They put the chunky monkey in the goal. And you know what? I learned a lot in between those sticks. You see a lot. You see the whole game playing in front of you. You know what I mean? You're literally seeing it. And that's why I like Vicario. Just a little shout out there to my man Vicario Sicario. He's a madman behind this. I know they call him Venom, but to me, he reminds. Have you ever seen the movie Sicario?
Sicario. Is that with De Niro?
No. So it's a movie. It's about this little city that I live. Not about this city, but it takes place in a border town, and I live in a border town. Border town referencing the border of Mexico and America. Sicario, great film. But if you ever see it, there's some gangsters in there, and they've made 3 of them now, or the third one's coming out. There's been 2 of them.
Horror films, gangster films.
Benicio del Toro.
Oh,
yeah, and Josh Brolin.
I thought De Niro was in it. I don't know why. I'm gonna watch it. I'll watch it tomorrow.
It's a great one. But whenever you see it, that's why I call him, because it rhymes, but also because in this movie, there's some gangsters, man. There's some gangsters in this movie and the way that they run things.
Daniel's in there from Pepé. Yeah, my guy. So yeah, I'll definitely.
I'm saying it's a good one. Oh yeah. He's in it too.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch it.
This is before he was like a superstar, megastar too. So yeah, great film. Don't mean to digress, but you know what? If I have to reference Sicario, I'm not going to be too upset about it. I do want to say we are here on an hour 15. If you have any questions and you want them answered or asked, I'll ask Ash or myself immediately. You could do a super chat. But if you want to do the free thing, and I'm a free kind of guy, I'm super messed up on the chat right now. I'm super behind. But if you have a Q, if you have a question, just hit Q, hit a dash, and then I'll see it and I'll start. I have some questions started already. So if you don't want to super chat or go, and spend the money, you can just do the free thing, hit a like, and put a Q in your question, in your comment, and I'll see it, I'll start, and I'll ask it, when we get to it. But if you have a super chat, kind of like what Kaylee Davis did, I'll ask it immediately and we'll talk about it. But the first question that I have starred for you here from Audio Artisan says, Ash, what's your opinion on Jed Spence?
haven't seen him, so I can't give an opinion.
You saw him for like 20 minutes against.
Well, he played as a right winger.
Yeah,
he
he
didn't
did.
play as a right back.
What that told me
right
was that he definitely doesn't see Pedro Porro as a right winger. That's what that told me.
But do you know what it is with Jed Spence? There was question marks on his behaviour, mentality, and I think it was the Nottingham Forest manager. Forget his name as well. So annoying. But basically, he said, no, it was Middlesbrough's manager actually at the time. It wasn't even Borough's manager, because he was from Middlesbrough, wasn't he? And he was on loan to Forest, who got obviously the promotion in the championship. But anyway,
apparently beefing with everyone along the way too.
He said that like this guy will never make it to the Premier League, and I think it was the whole attitude thing. I think like I don't know if there's a problem where he's just, I don't know if he feels like he's been done dirty, or it's a thing where he just is not putting in those. Maybe he's putting those miles in, but when you've got like an air of I'm better than everyone else, I should be starting, and like your faces just stink. You just stinking up the place. The manager can pick up on those vibes, and he's thinking, "Right, I'm not gonna play you. If you're gonna move like that, like I ain't got time for people like that. I need people that want to work hard, that have the right mentality." So I just remember what he said about him, and I thought, "Oh, that's not good." Obviously, he's a young man, and I think that doesn't help him because he hasn't got the experience. But Jed Spence is a mad one. I really wanted to see him.
I did flirt with the idea early on about Jed Spence. I was like, what if he's the dark horse for a guy who can make the bench and prove? Because I thought, you know what, this is a young guy. He's a hell of an athlete. If he looked at this opportunity, I tried to look at it from a human standpoint, not necessarily a footballing standpoint. I looked at it as like, if I'm Jed Spence, young, you could argue he's got traits that make him a good baller. There's things about him that are attractive. And you have a refresh, a reset. Now it's on you to go out and make Ainge Postecoglou do this. Oh, who the hell's that? Where'd he go? Oh, who's that? He was there in the very beginning, like Tanguy and Dombele. From the moment Ainge walked in that building, he's one of the guys. Hello, hey, how you doing? That is your chance from that day to prove to Ainge that you could do something, anything. This isn't Antonio Conte saying this is a club signing, I don't want him. He still played the guy. He played him once versus Nottingham Forest, if you remember. But it is disappointing because I did flirt with the idea that maybe, just maybe, if he thought about it in this light, that this is my chance to get on at a big club, impress a manager who's coming in here with all expectations of prove to me why I should play you. Merit, class, all that. Like Harry Kane came in. The only reason he played is because he's the best damn one at the position. You can guarantee that. But he even said, it doesn't matter who you are, where you've been, and what you've done. Matters what you show me and what you prove to me. So I think there's a lot to be said there. I did see a super chat come in from Mr. Double D, Donovan Davis himself, my Texas brethren. How you doing? Good evening. Says, grab a free beer on the way in. Hit the like, people. Hope all is well, fellas. But give me the 2 players you want in before the window closes. For me, I'm going get. I guess Tosin, he doesn't want to play for us because I want a center back. I need me another center back. Because I as much as I adore what Sanchez was able to do versus Barcelona and what he did in his cameo for Romero and versus Brentford, as much as I like that, I still think he shouldn't be third option center back. If Romero goes down, we don't need Sanchez filling in for a certain amount of time. If Romero gets a straight yellow because he took Erling Haaland's man bun by the scruff of his neck, I mean, I don't want. So I need someone more assuring than an Ashley Phillips. I want one more center back. I don't care who, but as long as he's good enough to be that third option, I don't see us dropping cash on a big boy who can tap Soba. I think that's been done and dusted for a while now. So I really don't care. Whoever's fine coming in and fighting to be a backup on the left or the right or potentially challenge. Again, I want Romero to have someone challenging for that right center back spot. I don't want him feeling comfortable. I know you're the vice captain. Same thing with James Madison. I know you're the vice captain, but I want someone behind you to push you to show, hey, if you're not doing things right, we can easily replace you. And I think that's what Ainge would do. So for me, 2 players, I would love to get a Muhammad Kudus. I think he could play all 4 positions up front. He could play the 10. He could play the left. He could play the striker. I'm not trying to get overhyped on this man, but if he goes to West Ham, I'm going to be so mad. I'm going to be so upset because, like Moussa Diaby, I didn't know homie was for sale. I didn't know we could go pick up that gangsta from across the town. So for me, I'm going to go Muhammad Kudus and then anybody, any center back, anybody. That's where I'm at.
That's a good choice.
What about you, Ash?
It's a hard one. I've got my dreams and then I got reality. My dreams would have been a Tapsoba because I feel like the Tapsoba could fit in the left centre back or the right centre back, and I just think on the ball he could be really brave and really help us to pin teams in because he's so good in possession, and then also he has enough pace to kind of get back, and he's actually, as a defender, I feel like he's better than Mickey van der Ven, and I think Mickey van der Ven is up there. But I mean, just having that option that
Hey, I just want you to know, Rich in the YouTube chat, I seen this. Jacob's always back, Romero, and this is the channel where I first heard about Van der Veen, and it wasn't when we were linked with him. I promise you that. Sometimes it's just good when you as someone who creates content, you throw a million names out there, and when one of them sticks, you're like, yes, I got one. I got one. It's like fishing. You know what I mean? You go out fishing, you throw the line 100 times, you maybe catch twice. But each time you catch one, it's special. I don't care if it's a guppy or if it's a damn whole carp. You get the whole. So I will take that one. Big up Side Dancer. Big up everyone tapping in the chat. See about 100 of you in the house. Make sure you hit that like or dislike. It's a free universe. You can do as you please. If you want to help the channel, you want to be supportive of what we're doing here, hit that like, hit that subscribe over there for Ash Maddox's channel as well. Southview Koi's got it in the title. No excuse to not go over there and hit a like and subscribe and say and tell them where you came from. But do have another question here. Wait, did you finish telling me? I was like, wait,
who? In the middle and skanked to me, but
sorry, yeah.
All right,
that's right.
It's cool. Basically, Tapsoba is not realistic, so I'm gonna go for the player I looked at on my show, and his name is Montesa Talbi, Talbi. For those who want to research,
I'll pull him up as you talk about him. Spell that for me just one more time.
This is the surname I'll give you: Talbi, Talbi, and
from Lorient.
Talbi, yeah, Montesa Talbi.
Montesar, that's a hell of a name, I'll tell you that.
He plays for FC Lorient.
Lorient. Okay.
And he's basically, I went on transfer market, and he's worth 8 million.
7.6 for SofaScore. So yeah, right around the same ballpark.
Yeah, exactly. So
25 years old.
He plays predominantly on the left side, but he has played on the right hand side for Tunisia, and he did play in the World Cup as well. But you can see his heat map there. He's predominantly the left.
This was last year in League.
He plays in the back three. So he was the central centre back. He is right-footed. But in terms of winning the ball in the air, he's that guy. He's that person. If the ball goes over the top, he's diving in. And he's winning those headers. He's that type of leader that he would just throw his body in the line. His blocks are up there with Sher. Do you know what I mean? He's got the ability to progress the ball, so he's comfortable in possession. His long balls are brilliant. He's really good at long balls. And yeah, blocks, that's his name.
He almost averaged 5 clearances a match, 4.8 over a 33-game span. That's pretty impressive to have a 4.8 average of clearance. They're tough on you defenders. They'll give you 1 tackle, 1 interception, you know what I'm saying, even if you got really 3 cheekies, but they only give you 1 or 2. I mean, to have damn near 5 clearances per game, that's pretty impressive. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, so like I said, his biggest attribute is his heading. Really strong in the air. And I just feel like Romero, Mickey van der Ven, they're not bad at heading. They're not bad in the air, but I just feel like at set pieces or balls coming over the top or diagonal balls, Man United were always trying to hit that kind of diagonal against us. I feel like positionally, he knows where to be on the pitch. and when to win those headers, when to step, when to kind of back off. And he's good at delaying. So defending, you've got different types of defending. You've got the last ditch defending where you kind of need to recover that ball and do that mad slide tackle. And then you've got that defending where a bit like your, I'm going to say the name, but you know, like that Italian style kind of defending where you kind of, instead of engaging early, you kind of delay to help to make your other teammates to come back and help with the defense. So he's good at that, if that makes sense. But
and he's young, but not too young. 25 is a decent age.
I think he's better than Tosin, if I'm being honest. Obviously, he's not in the Premier League. Obviously, he's done it in the Premier League, Tosin. So
Donovan Davis, he says, Ash made me get up from my desk to make sure I heard that name. It's quite the name, Montasar Talbi. Tunisian international. Jessica says, would he be going to the African Cup of Nations? I would say yes, right?
Yeah, I would say yes. But
I'm not geographically savvy.
But Nations, you miss, I think, 2 cup competitions. I think you miss 2. You might miss 2. It's in the middle of the League Cup. So in total, you'll miss like maybe 1 or 2 league games and maybe 1 or 2 cup games. So 3 to 4 games in total.
Yeah.
If you go to the African Cup of Nations. And I think because remember, Tosin's, like he said, I want to go Monaco. But obviously Fulham don't want to sell to Monaco. So they want to sell to Spurs. But then Tosin ain't coming out saying, yeah, I'll come to Spurs. Like, he's not saying that.
No, he's not.
To me, I don't think he wants to be a bench boy. Do you know what I mean? With
this
kid,
absolutely.
I feel like he would be happy to take the step up to the Premier League. I think he's ready. He's at the right age. He's in his, and you know, defenders they mature a bit older. Do you know what I mean? He's still at a decent age where I think he could be a decent option, a decent backup for, rather than getting a long lay in. I'm just trying to avoid the long lay situation.
Well, he's been registered officially to Barcelona's roster. They officially registered him, so that's good news.
I did hear that.
Also, Ange Postecoglou allegedly distanced himself every time they were like, "We can go get you a long lay." He's like, "Nah."
Yeah, nah. That's a
C. Shearman's asking, "Is Talby too slow?" I can't claim I've ever watched him play, so I don't know how to answer that. But Ash, is he too slow? We need fast center backs, right?
No, he's not. I've actually watched a lot of footage on him, and when it comes to recoveries and trying to win that ball back, like he's got enough pace. There's one time he's on the ball and he's bringing it out from the back and he slightly overhits it, and the defender's about to close the ball down and win it, but he's got enough recovery pace to kind of get himself out of trouble, and he's got good feet as well, so he can put on from left foot to right foot and get himself out of those tight spaces, those awkward situations. And Ange likes players to be brave on the ball. You saw it a lot with Mickey in that Man United game on that half turn. Do you know what I mean? Able to kind of spin his way out and then play the forward pass. You're going to get that again with Talby. And I think with Ange Postecoglou, he wants people with a similar mindset, a similar mentality. So that's what you're going to get with a Montasar.
Love it. Great. Ash, I love having you on for this reason. Got some more questions starred. Let's run through them. Zapur, this was about 25 minutes ago, says, what are we thinking about Jonathan David from Lille? Chris Callan said we've been linked to him for a while. For me, the price tag sounds outrageous. As an American, I've seen him play many times for his country and never thought this guy leads their line very well. I've always thought, damn, they should start Alphonso Davies at their striker. I mean, I know he plays left winger for them. Alphonso Davies is one of those guys you can play anywhere on the pitch, but I've seen him play a lot. Jonathan David for more than I mean, I'm not going to say I saw him play at Lille. I don't subscribe to anything that shows Ligue 1 here in America. So when I always go and I reference, I say, I watch teams from other leagues, but the French league is one of those leagues I just don't have a subscription to. I think you need like DAZN or something here in America. It's like $90 a month, something crazy that you need to be able to watch French games. So I have a Bundesliga team. I have a Serie A team that I watch, and I keep track of who their opponents are. And I'm like, oh, who do I like from that team that they just played? And that's kind of how I do my scouting, is by just picking a club to follow for a season and watching them play and analyzing it that way. But Jonathan David, I'm not going to sit here and say I've watched him play for club. He could be a beast for the club. I don't know. But anytime I've seen him play for his country, not really inspiring. It gives me the same vibes that I get from Richarlison when I saw him at Everton. Just doesn't seems more hype than he's got product, and I don't know
just to
that I
add on
want
to
that. I
just
mean, I'm
to add
sure
on
he's a
to
great
that,
player, but the price tag's
this
outrageous. Go ahead.
this player is a perfect example of the argument we were having earlier. Now, I've looked at Jonathan David also at Canada, and I was like disappointed with him at the World Cup. And I
Not just
noticed
in that, in
again,
CONCACAF too. Disappointing every time he plays for Canada.
it was because when I looked at the data was screaming that this guy is it. This guy is the next guy. And he was not just linked with us, he's also linked with Manchester United. Manchester United were heavily linked with him as well. So he's been a player that's been linked with a lot of top European clubs. He's been on their radar. When I look at him at Lille, he looks amazing. Like his first touch is great. He's able to operate on the shoulder, but then again, similar to Tony, he's able to drop in deep and hold on to that play. You know what Richarlison's meant to be doing? He actually can do it, and his passing is also exceptional. He's got good passing range as well. Short to medium passes, really good at interlinking, finding his teammates, letting his teammates run in behind him. But he can also do that where he kind of spins off that last defender's shoulder in between the centre back and the full back, arriving at the far post, able to do those tap-ins, but also able to take a man on. And those are the clips I've seen when he's at Lille. But at Canada, it's like, when I've actually watched him, it's not translating. So it's like the FBF ref or SofaScore, amazing player. But in real life, it's like, when I did look at him, I was because I knew we were linked to him from all the way then. So I was looking and paying real close attention to him. And even like strength wise, I thought he'd be a lot stronger on the ball. I don't know if you got that as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is he looks like when you watch him off the ball, you're like, there's something there. As soon as he's got that ball at his feet, I'm just like, what'd you do? Why decision making? It just never moved the radar. I've always felt like he's more hype than he was product. Personally, that's just when I saw him in Canada. But again, maybe for Lille, he's balling out, and I'm missing on him.
The thing is, as well, just to finish off on him, like the price tag, I get it, is high, right? And strikers are inflated at the moment. If you go for any striker, I personally think the minimum wage now, the minimum asking price is 60 mil. You know, that's what you're gonna get. 60 mil for a striker. I can't see anyone else.
Well, yeah, I mean, if they look at it and say, "Oh, y'all spent 60 on Richarlison," you definitely would spend 60 on this guy.
Yeah,
It's kind of tough.
So I'd rather go for Vlahovic. I know he hasn't been doing well at Juventus, but I'd rather spend the money, and I think we could get him for cheaper than Jonathan David, if I'm being honest. And I know what he did at Fiorentina. I think in the system that Allegri plays him in, it's not suiting him. He needs to be in a front-footed attacking team that like to press high. He's not really good at pressing, Vlahovic, though. That's the only criticism I'll give him. He's not a good presser. Whereas Jonathan David, from what I've seen, presses a little bit better. And so, yeah, it's just one of those. I prefer Gift Orban. I just put it out there. Gift Orban, for me, even though not proven, I just look at what Brighton are doing. I look at what Bournemouth, how Bournemouth picked up Tony, even Crystal Palace when they picked up Eze. If we're not going to behave like a Man United or a Chelsea, we can't then turn our nose up when we're going for players that are led by data analytics. Mm-hmm. And if he's coming from a lower league, we're just going to have to trust in the numbers. We're going to have to go for that. It might not work every time, but from what I've seen of him, it's Gift Orban all day for me.
I mean, if you can get him for 30, I mean, imagine you get Vlahovic, you get Gift Orban right now. You ain't even spent the Harry Kane money. If you get 50, 30, that's 80 right there. You ain't even spent the Harry Kane, all of it.
I don't know if you've heard about this rumor, Ansu Fati. I did him as well.
There was a comment earlier that brought up, I think from Callum Roche, that said, have y'all talked about the Ansu Fati rumors? Yeah, I've heard his name even last January. I heard it rumored around. Like, seems to be one of those names that were linked with quite a few. What have you heard?
He scored against us in the preseason. He actually came on and he just banged it. I think in front of goal.
Only thing I remember from Barcelona's side, Lamine Yamal.
Yeah,
who's this kid? Who's
Yeah,
this kid? Who's that? Who's
he
the,
stole the headline.
where'd he
Actually
come
stole the
from?
show. I
That kid
can't lie.
came on, made everyone his
Amazing.
little, made everyone his bitch. And
Yeah,
I was like, this kid was born fucking 10 moons ago.
no, he was crazy. 16-year-old or 17, talented. But
16, insane.
yeah. Is he originally from Morocco? But obviously he's got a Spanish passport.
Lamine Yamal.
Yeah.
Let me-
Anyway, but the point I was making was about Ansu Fati. Ansu Fati for me is not a winger. He's just an inside forward. Like the way he's clinical in front of goal, and obviously he's got a bit about him. He's like his skills are crazy. Like he can dribble, he can burst past plays, he's got a bit of acceleration. He'd be a great signing. I think he'd be the marquee signing if we ever did get him. I don't know if he will come to Spurs because he's such a big player. Like I can't stress that enough. But I don't know. The only problem with him is his injuries, his history of injuries. So he had a meniscus knee injury that kept him out for a long time, and then he had a few hamstring injuries, and you start to think about a man like Ryan Sess. But that's the only thing I would say about Ansu
I don't
Fati.
like thinking about Ryan Sess. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, what I'm saying is that's the only thing I would say about Fati. If it wasn't for his injuries, I would say bring him in, but I don't know whether he'd want to come.
I mean, they gave him the 10 after Messi left. You got to imagine they had some fucking hopes.
I think that's what hindered him. I think he had too much pressure.
That shirt too heavy.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So
10 burning a hole in his back.
He goes to a club where he's the main man, no pressure.
imagine a world where Madison doesn't get the number 10 shirt. We bring Fatty and we're said, okay, now our number 10 just left, and here's the number 10, Fatty. Show us what you can do. I can't shake these number 10s, bro. I can't shake them.
But he's so young. He's only 20. Like I think he's 20 years old, and it feels like he's been playing
21. Yeah, he's. It feels like he's been around for a long time.
21.
Can you do something for me?
Yeah, man.
Next question that I've got starred here is from Jay Ashraf. Says, question for Ash. How confident are you Orban, if we sign him, can adapt to the Prem League? For me, I'm real quick. I know this was for Ash. I'm going to just put my little 2 cents in here. I'm going to say this man can score no matter the setting. Conference League, no problem. Belgian League, no problem. I think he can. When you look at even just the comps of this man, he can finish in every fashion. It's not like 5 of the 10 goals you see are tap-ins. No, there's a right foot, left foot, him taking the ball, driving it into the box and shooting, him receiving the ball in the box and first touch, headers. The complete package for me, Gift Orban. What about you, Ash?
For me, more than anything, it's the audacity of the kid. This is bravery. You just can't teach that. And he just got it in him. Like, he's a man that's just gonna... Like, when you're a centre forward, you just need to have that belief. You need to have that something about you. And he's definitely got it. When he's in that box, that's when he becomes alive. And I think that's why people are comparing him to Jermaine Defoe. Because he's got that low centre of gravity, that low back lift. He doesn't need that much to kind of hit it with so much power and velocity, hit it into the top bins, top corner. Different types of finish, as you said, bottom corner, top corner.
Checks all boxes as a striker, finishing-wise.
Like, literally in front of goals, composed. He can finish like those one-on-ones or 1v1s. And unlike Richarlison, it's like when a ball comes into him, Richarlison sometimes loses balance and goes down really easy, goes to the ground too quickly. Whereas the Orban is stronger on the ball, more ferocious. People do criticize him for his first touch, but he makes up for it in his balance and his agility. And his
I would say...
power.
I would argue if you're talking or hating on Gift Orban's first touch, I would say look at Richarlison's first touch.
Of course.
How many times there was a time he did perfectly well in basketball. They call it boxing out. There's a ball over the top. I think it was sent from Romero. It was across a play and it was into him, and Sonny was ahead of him a little bit, and he did a good job of shelling off the defender, keeping him on his back. Receives the ball. No one there. No one there. And this happened versus United. And I remember being like, why did he do that? Why didn't he just bring the ball down like Alfie Devine did when he had a cross? Why did he do it like that? I mean, for real though, why did he do it like that? Instead, what he did is the ball, he decided to head it to Sonny, and it was an incomplete pass because he's first timing heading it. Like, I get it. If you've got a man on your back and a man in front of you, you want to go up and poke that ball up to somebody else. But Shirley, but don't call me Shirley, in that moment, he could have just brought the ball down with his foot. First touch. I've just not liked what I've seen first touch wise from Richarlison at all.
I would say with Richarlison, it's his first touch, his decision making
As well.
His passing as well lets him down. Is because his decision making is not good, because his movement in the box should be that it opens up for the eights. The eight should be getting a lot more chances because of his movement and his ability to pin the centre back, to kind of make the centre back, oh my days, I've got to stay here because Richarlison's there. And then Richarlison makes that run into the 6-yard box. The centre back can't move because they're marking him, and there should be a lot of space on that penalty spot or the back stick or etc. And even Richarlison should be assisting a lot more. He should be cutting across the box, and then switching it the other way round to assist someone like Maddison or Son that's arriving late, or even Sarr. And he should be creating goals. If you're not scoring goals, you should be helping out your teammates. He said he's been working hard in training, and he's been scoring in training. And so let's hope that kind of.
Let me ask you this about Richarlison. There was a quote that came out, and I originally thought he was taking some accountability for his lack of goal contributions, and then I got the full quote, and he's basically complaining that he's not getting fed the ball enough. Now, he had the second lowest amount of touches on the day, just behind a $65 million Mason Mount, who had 26 touches, but Richarlison had 28 touches. So he's getting upset that he wasn't receiving the ball in a manner in which I guess is conducive to I guess the manners in which he receives the ball in training to score all these goals. I don't know. It's interesting indeed.
That's an end system. As a forward, you're not going to get a lot of touches, and I think the Kyogo striker for Celtic, he was a better player that always got the least amount of touches in the game, but he ended up scoring something like 28 goals.
So something else about his movement in the box is very suspect, because there was, when watching back the highlights of Manchester United and really just watching him isolating on Richie, there was a moment where Kulu's driving into the box, and they're both parallel with each other, driving into the box. And he just keeps running with him rather than stepping inside and presenting that passing option for Kulu for the little link up. He just keeps running to where then Kulu has no option but to just fling it. And that's kind of what it bothered me, because I'm like, bro, if you literally just stopped and took a step towards Kulu, that passing lane, you could fit a grizzly bear in. Yeah. And it's just like, that his decision making, his first.
He's not a natural centre forward. For a natural centre forward, they've got the intelligence to.
Kane cuts in there. Kane presents that passing option.
You fake to go one way, then you go the other way. You show one way, and then that's it. You pull off. Sometimes they're really slow, and then they explode. And he needs to learn to bend those runs instead of making straight runs. He needs to do those diagonal runs and know that you're taking players away from other players because you're asking questions. You're making. Yeah. You don't want to make their mind up for them. So, but I honestly think with Richarlison, it doesn't really matter with Ange, because Ange came out and said he hasn't got a formula. Like some players, some managers, they've got a set way of playing. And with Ange, he's like, if you've got a formula, then other teams can figure you out. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it made me think that, what if he started playing like players that we think that are wingers in different positions? We really seen it with some playing the front runner, the centre forward. But what if someone like Solomon played a false 9? What if Kulu played in the 8? And I'm not saying they stayed there. I'm saying at times they kind of, ghosted into those positions. They kind of flirted with those positions, and then they kind of moved around in a nice fluid system. I like the fact that Ange came out and said that. So I just thought, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Got a couple more questions before we wrap up this show. It's been a great one so far. Cloud Clixa says, why don't we bid for Jota, former Celtic man once out of Saudi? Allegedly, they're willing to let him go on a free after they spent 26 mil on him, and now they're licking their chops about Liverpool's Mohamed Salah. Which, I mean, I pulled this up like 3 days ago. This right here that you can see on the screen about Al Ittihad fans being upset about the Jota signing. There was some. This was like 4 or 5 days ago. This was coming out, and I was like, this seems like a far-fetched idea. No way. They're literally going to pull Mohamed Salah from Liverpool this late in the window. No freaking way. But then what I'm seeing today on all the Liverpool fan channels, Mohamed Salah's leaving. He's leaving. He's considering leaving. And then Fabrizio's tweeting, Liverpool's stance is he's not leaving. Now, I don't know if Diego Jota. I don't know if this Celtic Jota, I don't even know his first name. I don't know if him leaving or staying, I don't think it hinges on bringing in Salah or not. So that's irrespective of what we're talking about. Well, why haven't we gone for a former Celtic man? Or maybe we are and we just haven't heard about it. But there's been no rumblings or rumors at all. Do you think that this could still be a play?
Anything's possible in football, if I'm being honest. Jota, I don't know. Like, I feel like Ange feels the Premier League's a different level. I rate Jota. I saw Jota. I thought, yeah, he would definitely suit our
Michael Jota. Yeah, that's his name.
Yeah, but I just think that, I don't know, if we were going to get one of the Celtic players, I thought it would have been done a long time ago. It's not that hard to. I don't think it would be that hard to get one of those Celtic players. I thought we were going to go in for Rio Hatate at one point, because I just thought we might need that player that's kind of combative but can assist at the same time. But now you've got Maddison and you've got Celso operating in that kind of area. Do we really need a Hatate? Kyogo, then I thought, yeah, maybe we need him. But because we sold Kane, then I thought, is he a big enough player? Is he a marquee signing to kind of fill that kind of those Kane shoes, those Kane boots? And I don't know. When I say marquee signing, I mean, are Spurs going to go to town and spend like 50, 60 million on a striker to say fans, look.
Bro, Ivan Toney, I think that he is that kind of signing. And I think you could get him cheaper than 80, personally, because he don't want to be there.
No.
And when you look at what he did, he said, if this is true or not, don't know, but he said that he always bet on himself to score first in a match. And to me, that's putting your money where your fucking mouth is. That's being a cocky son of a bitch, betting on yourself. I'm not only going to... Yeah.
What a choice of words.
Do you think has he done enough time for the crime? I mean, in my opinion, there's been footballers who've done a lot worse, and a lot more people are sympathetic to those folks than they are to a man who said, I put 150 pounds on scoring first tonight.
Like, it's mad. To me, like, raw. He did it when he was younger. He was like, what, 17, 19? He wasn't like, now how many years have gone past since he's done that? It wasn't like he did it yesterday, did he?
No.
It was a long time ago, was it not?
It was several years, to my understanding.
Yeah, and I'm penalizing him now for it. I just think it's a bit weird. Like, I thought, obviously he was a young man. He was at a different club as well. He wasn't even at Newcastle yet. Playing for Newcastle in the Championship. He wasn't even there yet. This is I can't remember what team he was playing for, but it was like a League One or something team, and he missed out a whole England World Cup for it. Like, it's crazy. I thought that in itself would have been punishment, because he's at the prime age to go to a World Cup, and he would have got a few minutes when Kane had to come off. He would have jumped on, but instead it was. So
he was at Peterborough before Brentford.
That was it. So
yeah.
So yeah, man. Like, I just think it's quite harsh, to be fair. But yeah, it is what it is. The rules are there. He broke them, and he's going to have to do his time, irrespectively of what we think or what he thinks.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he's done that, but then he just keeps moving mad. I don't know. Like, he's a funny one. Like, from what I said, he came on camera and he's on a podcast and he's saying, "Raw, I'm being a Liverpool fan, but I like Arsenal."
I mean, this is a man who literally said, "Fuck my employer," just because some chick was in a swimsuit next to him. So, Yeah, I mean, questionable character, but on the pitch, no, there's no question on his influence on the
I
match.
just don't think he's like upstairs. I don't think he. I bet his agent was in his hands like this. Oh my dude, I told him, why has he done that to me? But yeah, he's obviously left his agency anyway to kind of force him.
Yeah, he's going to a new one. Yeah,
So
be interesting to see. A couple more questions here before we end the show. Cursor says, question Ashmatic, are you a Rampage float guy at Carney? I don't know what this means.
you know what? You know what? That's a good question.
I don't know what it means.
That's a good question.
Could be a good question. I have no
you
idea.
know what? The last few years, I've been more of a Rampage kind of guy, but I don't go to Rampage because it's too young for me. But I've got my version of Rampage, and it's slightly older. So basically, Rampage is you hold a corner and you go to the street or you go to a side road, and they've got massive sound systems. I'm talking about sound system taller than Walmart, taller than a Walmart. That's how big the sound system is, and it just takes up the whole of the road, and it's like no entry. It's just one way in and one way out. But that road is just rammers, and then you got like a few artists might come up, or a few like super DJs might come and he might play, and they might play some music. So they might play like bashment, dancehall, whatever, soca, trap, whatever. But the float is a mad thing. The float is basically what carnival is. So you've got two ropes and they parade down the whole road. So there's a massive like lorry truck sometimes, and then you see the girls, they're in their kind of they're in their costumes. So they're wearing like the masquerade, they're wearing the feathers.
Oh,
they're just skinning out. You see bare bum cheeks, bare breastises, stomach out, and I just let me one up in your all. That type of flavor. So then you got the people on the tambourines, that kind of vibe. And then like if you basically paid for the float, it starts about 9 o'clock in the morning, and you stay with them until the carnival done. The carnival doesn't finish until 7 p.m. So you're on the road from 9 to like 7. I think it actually kicks off properly at 11. So, but you reach there for 9, 11 o'clock, the music comes on, and then
titties out all day, huh?
Titties out all day. The truck has speakers on it. The truck's got the speakers on it. So the truck drives along the roads, and he just.
I thought y'all didn't have trucks in the UK.
No, they got trucks, man. They got
like pickup trucks. You got like Ford,
a massive F1 lorry.
Oh, like moving trucks. Okay.
And then the lorry's open, so it's not like a closed lorry. It's like an open lorry because you can see the artists, and they're talking to the people that are on the side of the road. But if you're on the float, you're kind of in the float, so that you could dance with, or even if you're on the side of the road, you can join the float and you can dance with the people. And then you keep it moving, and you can join another float, and you can jump to another float. And when I was younger, I was more of a float guy. But lately, I've been more of a rampage, as Cursor said. But I like the floats more. I can't lie, the floats are way more fun. But I just think that the rampage things is just more my music. I like hip hop, old school hip hop, R&B. I like new school. I like trap. I like bashment, dancehall, whatever you want to call it, 90s dancehall. I'm more that kind of guy. But the floats are more like soca, calypso, do you know what I mean? So it's a more Caribbean vibe on the float, whereas the Rampage is more inclusive or more music.
Interesting. Sounds like a good time regardless, whichever way you go. Sounds like you can't lose. Audio Artisan says, question, any thoughts on Pascozzi? He's got 20 plus international caps and looked good in preseason under Conte. For me, there's too many unknowns.
Yeah, same.
Too many unknowns. Right. If I'm not mistaken, didn't he get relegated last season with our Premier League 2 team? Isn't that what happened last year? Plus, I mean, he's a left back. Ugoti's got that position solidified. I'm not even concerned with that position anymore.
The guy I did like for Tottenham, it was his name Santiago?
Yeah, Santiago number 11. He's been wearing 11 out there. Yeah, he's nice.
Yeah, that goal he scored was against Newcastle 4-1 when we won. That turn of pace, and he gets him behind that defender and he finishes. I said, I can get with that. Yeah, I think he looks decent.
So the last question I have, Starred, before I bid you adieu. I know it's quite late out there for the UK, so appreciate you staying up late with me tonight, Ash. Jessica says, would you fork out the money for Ansu Fati? Could be good business for us. Does he fit an Ainge system? Would it work if we brought him and Orban in for the two attacking
Jeez,
forwards? What do you think here, man? Orban and Fati, are we talking 10 out of 10 window or what? Give
that's
me
crazy.
Kudus and Orban, bro. Kudus and Orban.
Yeah, let go of that Kudus. I'm letting go because I know he's not coming. So,
Bro, why? What? Please, please. He's gonna go to West Ham, bro. Please.
why?
I'm glad he's going to West Ham, not Brighton,
Nah,
because
he's good.
honestly, he'd be cooking with Brighton.
He's gonna do well at West Ham. Him and Paqueta, they're gonna be looking mad.
That kills me, man. It kills me right there, bro. It's right there.
Like I said before, like I would bring Ansu Fati because if you had him and Orban, if even if Fati got injured, Son's still there. Do you know what I mean? So, but it's like that right hand side is just the problem. I think we need someone on that right, so that's why it makes sense for Pepe. Do you know what I mean? The alpha I was gonna say Brennan Johnson. Yeah, no. I think Pepe makes sense on that right hand side because that's what we need. We need a player that can.
Give me
being
Nico
up
Williams or Johan Bakayoko.
Yeah, Nico Williams. I looked at him as well. He's a good player, and I think
like
we can get
him.
him cheap as well.
Who?
Nico Williams.
Oh, yeah. He looks great. He looks fantastic. I also got some Spain caps too.
Yeah, great dribbler. The only thing I'd say about maybe him, but you know what, wings are quite slight anyway. He's quite slight. He needs to buff up a little piece. I think that's the only thing for the Premiership. I just feel like just a bit more meat. But then you've got what's his face? What's that kid's name? The Spanish kid that plays for us.
Brian Hill.
Brian Hill. Yeah. He's kind of like
I would trade him in a heartbeat for Nico Williams.
he needs size. Like he needs.
I think Solomon is who everyone wants Brian Hill to be.
Yeah, definitely. Facts.
I mean, and he's proven it before he even got here that he could score in the Premier League.
Yeah, he scored what?
Off the bench. 3 in a row. I think it was 4 or 6, something that he ended up with before he got injured. But he did have 3 goals in 3 straight matches off the bench. So really, when you're looking for an impact player to come in and do something for you, he has in a Fulham side. Lazy 8 says, Jacob, you're not concerned about left back. We have no recognized backup if Reggie goes. I'm terrified. Bring Pascozi through. I mean, I guess I'm not yes, the depth I'm concerned about, but like when I think about the left back, when I think about the left side of our back line, it just makes me feel so good inside, honestly. Makes me feel all the tinglies, if you know what I mean.
I just think if we brought in a centre back that I may or may not have suggested that can play on the left, do you think there's a possibility that you could possibly put Mickey as a left back? Or
yeah, and that's what I've heard. Us flexing that option. We also have Ben Davies still, who I think is going to put in some minutes there at that position. But obviously Mickey Van de Ven, that's another option. If Ugodi goes down, shift Van de Ven out there, and then guess what, Tosin? Now you've got a starting position. I'm just playing. Tosin's not coming, but yeah, I guess I am concerned. Big up Howie in the house as well. Perisic could play left back. No, he cannot. I do not ever want to see Perisic play anything back. Forward, I'm fine with. Taking corners and shit, that's fine. But I do not want Perisic defending in any form whatsoever. But y'all, that's going to...
I was going to say Bournemouth,
Yeah.
because you wanted me to answer that. That's an interesting one.
Big up, Bobby.
Just real quick, I'll end it on this one. I thought they played well against Liverpool. I can't lie. I thought the penalty was harsh against them. I think they're going to press us. Really
They're a high-pressing team now, aren't they, under that new manager?
Yeah. Well, he was the Spanish team he used to play for, to coach. Forget their name. Not Mallorca. Is it not Sociedad? Anyway,
Let me look.
He basically likes
Rayo Vallecano.
That's it. Blue and white, yeah. So basically, he likes to press. He likes to press a lot. And I saw in that game, the first chance they created was a direct long ball. So he likes to go direct as well. He likes to get straight to the point. A bit like what Conte did on Mourinho. They just did those long balls, straight in and attack. But what he did well, I think they had one goal was offside, but what they did well was they pressed Liverpool. They forced them into mistake. When Alisson tried to play a ball into
Liverpool thought they could have lost that 3-0.
Yeah, they could have easily. They tried to play a ball into Trent, and Trent's their inverted fullback that's playing as like a DM at times, and they saw that as a pressing trigger. So they didn't really press the goalkeeper, they didn't press the defender, but as soon as it went into Trent, that's when it jumped on him. No. And they got the first chance because of that, and then it was ruled off offside. It happened again, same thing, a ball from their centre-back in Van Dijk to Trent, and Trent had a baggy touch. They were onto him like flies to shit. They grabbed it, and literally they scored from it. They scored from that goal. Now, I think when they play us, I think they're going to go around the same route. They would have saw what happened against us, against Manchester United in the first 10 minutes where we looked a bit nervy, and we were trying to play it out from the back. We were trying to play it into either Basuma or we were trying to play it into Porro. Now, Porro, sometimes when he was getting that ball back to goal, he'd take a touch or too many, and that's the reason why we couldn't play out of the back. We couldn't play out the press. And Garnacho was getting a lot of joy on that left-hand side because we couldn't find Maddison. We couldn't find the players that were higher up the pitch. Even when they went into Sarr, that dropped into the right-back position, they were trying to press. So I think that Bournemouth are going to try to do that same type of approach against us. But I think the difference with us in the second half was that we pushed up the pitch a little bit higher, and we created a distance between our centre-backs and our inverted full-backs. So before we were quite narrow, so it was easy for them to congest us and win the ball high up. But I felt like when we kind of stretched the pitch, made the distance a lot harder, we were able to play out the back a lot easier. So I think that being said, I still think we'll concede maybe 1 or 2 goals if the defence is a bit nervy. But I'm ultimately going for a 3-1 victory. I think we'll win 3-1. I think there'll be goals in this game because they play with a high line. And Liverpool did get at them because their fullbacks, they like to overlap and they like to push on. So there's going to be a lot of space for players like Son or Kulu if they're there to attack.
I'm curious to see. No, sorry. I was just going to say that on that point, I'm curious to see if they come at us. This is what I said about that United match. They looked like they were ready for that high-pressing fight that we brought to them. And they hung in there for about 30, 40 minutes. But, hey, you know what happens when you stand in that ring too long with old dusty golden gloves? Ange Postecoglou, it turns out you don't want that fight. You can't hang in there. You're not that guy, pal. You are not that guy. And you know what? United thought they were that guy. It'll be interesting to see if Bournemouth come out, and I think that we will see that. From what I've listened to on little cherry podcasts I listen to, I always try to listen to what the opposition are saying and the recent opponents that they played, what they're saying. And from a few Liverpool perspectives, they thought they could have lost that match 3-0.
Yeah.
They thought they were extremely fortunate with the way things planned out there. But then there's also some Bournemouth fans that are pretty pessimistic about where they're going. They think they're in shambles. I think they have some decent pieces. Obviously, letting go of Jonathan Lerma, who was a major cog that I think was a reason why they finished so decently in the table. I predicted them to go down, quite frankly, last year. But they sold Lerma. Lerma plays for somebody else. I can't think about who it is now, but they sold him. I know that much. And
but they bought your guy though, from Leeds, Adams.
They did bring Tyler Adams. I forgot about that. The whole Caicedo Lavia thing, and then Tyler Adams was rumored in there, and I completely forgot. Yeah, he's a stud. Watch out for Tyler Adams. Absolutely, he's a baller. The other guy we didn't get a chance to talk about was Crescencio Somerville from Leeds as well. Little Dutch winger. I like that cat. He's nice. He's nice, but we'll talk about him on another show because I don't think we're gonna. I haven't heard him leaving. There's only Sinistera and Wilfred Noto that are looking to leave. But you know what? You keep your eye on Crescencio Somerville. If he has a good season in the championship, we better snatch him up before they get promoted, if they do at all. But it's been a great stream. Obviously, thank you so much. I appreciate who are your goal scorers? You said 3-1 to Cherries. Who's scoring our goals, though? You could just shoot the shit, whoever. But I'm hoping it's a forward. You have a forward in there scoring somewhere, hopefully.
Okay, I'll give Son a goal. Hopefully, my boy Vicario and Sa come through again.
Vicario, have no doubt in Vicario Sicario. The gangster madman.
Your doggy, not Vicario. I'm smoking. Your doggy. Hopefully, your doggy gets your goat. Sorry, your goat.
Ugodi. Yeah, Ugodi.
Hopefully, my guy Ugodi comes in.
He will.
Brings it home. Because I see him as I can see him as a problem.
He's gonna bang. I can see him bang one. I can see him get into that space and bang. He was floating everywhere. You see him. I think he took a couple people lunch boxes on one sequence. We were bossing United. God, I keep thinking back to Sarr pushing over Mason Mount and him. And then I'm also thinking about Basuma nutmegging Casemiro, who some people said was the best defensive mid last season.
Here all night, so I was talking about this. So.
Yeah, we started talking about Basuma. You're right. We will be here all night.
Also might start.
Big up, son of a gun. Before we ended off grabbing that YouTube membership, welcome to the Lover's Lane, son of a gun. Thank you so much for going above and beyond the call of booty and hitting that like and subscribe and participate in the poll. That is just the ground level, the bare minimum. It costs nothing. It's easy to do, and it supports this channel. It supports other content creators. Anywhere you go on YouTube, they're going to say hit that like, hit that subscribe. But we have provided 2 hours of content for y'all this evening, this morning, this afternoon, wherever you may be. Ashmatic stayed up late. We do have 110 likes, so I cannot complain. I set a goal of I would like to see 100 likes. We've been hitting over 150 on playback, so if you are watching this on playback, big up yourself. You're 2 hours deep and you still hitting that like and subscribe. Make sure you go on over, show some love to Ashmatic at Southview Coys as well. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll now. There's 123 votes and 38% say all calm. Angel's got us despite Levy, which is interesting because most of the day, most of the stream, the winning one, which came in second place, but all calm prevailed. The calm, our calming voices, our calming presence, Ashmatic, I think soothed everybody into it's all calm. We're all good here. But second place with 25% says knew we would stall till the final week, and then tied at 19%. Worried because there's no updates, and also frustrated, but we move. Come on, you Spurs. I think all of those answers are completely well within the realm of realistic feelings right now, because I kind of feel a little bit of all of those. But I'm going to go ahead and end that poll. We got another vote. One more vote just came in there to skew it just a little bit more in the favor of all calm. Ainge got us. But do hit that like if you haven't already, or hit the dislike and let us know you're a hating ass motherfucker, and that's the life you want to live. But you know what? Either way, you're here. You're still supporting the channel by hitting, just by being here. It helps out. So I appreciate everyone. But before I sign off, let me also say major shout out to YouTube chat member Kaylee Davis with not one, not two, but 3 super chats on the bounce. She kicked it off. Paul Brown joined the party, hit a super chat as well. Double D Donovan Davis out here in Texas also hit his super chat. And then right here before we ended, son of a gun grabbed the membership. So big ups for that, my friend. I do appreciate that more than I can express. All of y'all participating as well. If you didn't hit a super chat, that's perfectly fine. Hitting that chat, like, subscribing, all that good stuff. For sure, it helps the channel, helps the growth. So I do appreciate those who've done that. I see 114 of y'all. I appreciate all 114 of you pretty motherfuckers. You're all so beautiful. You're so sexy, so loyal, so smart. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you with all my soul, because you know what? Anywhere in the world you could have chose to be, and you chose to be right here, United Spurs of America, and that means something to me. I hope it means something to you. I will be sending you over to Sarcasm City TV, so go ahead and grab yourself a drink. Don't go anywhere. Don't click anything. I'm going to send you over. Say USA Raid or say Jacob sent you, and just show some love. A great guy, great content creator over there, and Flawless, so go show some love to what they're doing over there. But until next time. Ash, you have any final thoughts before I say goodbye?
No, man. It's been a great show, man. I mean, we could stay here the whole night.
That's what I'm
talking
saying.
about
2 hours
Spurs,
flew by.
But yeah, man, there's so much to talk about. I mean, in the system, I'm only touching the surface. But guys, if you want to know more, again, just jump on Southview Boys. We've got a lot going on. There's quite a few of us as well, not just me. But yeah, watch out for us in the future. Our next show is actually tomorrow.
I've been seeing y'all live almost every day now.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
Putting in some work. So get on over there. You can catch some more of Ash over there at Southview Coys. Appreciate you spending this quality time. I could spend here talking all night to you, my friend. But I do have to go be a husband and a father, and I do have to use the restroom. So I've actually had to use the restroom. I've needed to take a leak since the 30-minute mark. I remember being like, damn, we're 30 minutes in. I really should have used the facilities before I kicked it.
Gone, I'd have just taken over. Anyway, it's all good.
No, I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone who's tapped in. Make sure you hit that like if you haven't already. But as always, stay fresh, stay blessed, up the lads, and come on, you Spurs. Coys.
United Spurs of America with your hosts, Michael and Jacob.